Waffen tier list. This is a very Waffen tier list. No. He's making a tier list out of waffles. What's there to know? Honestly, should be easy.
Ja, meine Freunde, nachdem es letzte Woche eine Mac-Tierlist für das Jahr 2026 gab, ist es nur logisch, dass heute eine Waffen-Tierlist für das Jahr 2026 an
Weapon tier list for 2026. Let's take a look at which weapons are top notch and which are flops. Stay tuned, it's gonna be exciting. So exciting. Absolutely so. You messaged on Discord, that's fine. Yeah, I'm not gonna like look at it until after the stream is over. From the last 30-minute stream.
Freunde, schön, dass ihr eingeschaltet habt. Wie immer werden wir die Waffen
we will divide the weapons, or as we did last time, into 4 different categories. First tier are top meters. The top meters? What? Oh, the top meta. Right. Never mind. I understand. Shut up. Top meta, mittel, and mull. I'm gonna guess. Okay, so this is like super good. And this is stuff that's just pretty good. And this is stuff that's like eh. And this is stuff that's actively bad. That's my guess. It's a tier list, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Für die Creme de la Creme, die stärksten Waffen, die man wirklich haben sollte oder muss, um ordentlich im kompetitiven
involved with the making of waffle.
Dann haben wir die Meta-Waffen, das sind die Waffen, die sehr stark sind, die man in der Meta gut spielen kann, die aber nicht unbedingt sein müssen. Dann haben wir das Mittelfeld, das ist alles, was vom frühen bis zum Midgame sehr stark ist, im Endgame
everything good from early to midgame.
Und unten haben wir dann noch den Müll,
okay.
Glaube ich relativ selbsterklärend, das ist halt nur das
garbage,
das überhaupt nichts taugt.
Okay.
Oder
and the bottom's
halt
garbage, yeah. I was pretty much correct.
Mit dem Borrowbeam, und da setze ich doch gleich mal ein Statement. Das Ding kommt in die Top-Meta.
Yeah,
warum? Ganz einfach. Weil der Borrowbeam
like all the way at the top, you guys it's kind of blocked by the
Wahnsinns-Damage. Er schmilzt sich durch Mods.
Yeah,
er hat eine extrem kurze Nachladezeit. Natürlich hat er auch ein paar Schwächen.
Anyone German here? Obviously, I'm German. Because I understand exactly what's happening. And everything that he's saying. Mul means garbage? No. No, it means that his waffles were overdone. He's left it in the waffle iron too long. That's what happened.
Irgendwelchen Kanten hängen oder wenn die Schulterbreite vom Mech zu groß ist, dann kannst du schlecht irgendwie durch einen Durchgang schießen. Zum Beispiel bei Deathwalker ist mir das gerne aufgefallen. Dass
Deathwalker, I've noticed that he simply gets stuck on the walls instead of crossing in front and hitting the opponent.
Er hat also seine Schwächen, man kann ihn ausspielen, ja, aber er ist wahnsinnig stark für mich, eine Top-Meta-Waffe. Dann haben wir den Disc-Launcher. Den Disc-Launcher setzen wir ins Mittelfeld. Der war früher mal die beste Waffe im Spiel, vor 2,5 Jahren ungefähr. Dann hat er seinen Nerf bekommen, zusammen mit Dark Torrent, zu der wir auch gleich kommen werden.
Dark Torrent, oh, Dark Torrent. Bro. It's like Arc Torrent's alter ego, bro. I like it a lot. And then you guys can move over here with me. You're over here with me. You're gonna like it. Goth Arc Torrent. Yeah. Well, it's kind of fair enough though. It had a pretty big falling out. Bro turned emo.
Und ist dementsprechend jetzt aufs Mittelfeld abgerutscht. Den kann man im Early Game sehr gut zocken, im Mid Game auch noch, aber
playable in early game and also mid game, but as soon as it comes to end game, there's no chance anymore. I guess it depends on his Dark Torrent. So I guess it depends on his definition of like early and mid game and late game. But Disc Launcher compared to most things, even at like 5,000 SP, 5,000 SP, which is essentially where my free-to-play account's at. It's kind of still not that good.
Warum? Ich habe, nachdem die Waffen genervt worden
why get it? Like, sure, can be okay, but it's like, why get it? If it's just objectively worse than a lot of other things, and it costs the same amount.
Und da hat die Arc Torrent doch noch ein bisschen besser abgeschnitten. Und die kann man immer noch zocken auf Search und so weiter und so fort, aber sie hat halt den Ketteneffekt nicht mehr.
Saying the Arc,
aber sie funktioniert halt
Dark Torrent, Emo Torrent. worked better before, but then it got nerfed. But the thing is, like, I still think the main reason Emo Torrent is not that good is because of mods. And because of the grade update. It stopped being great once the grade update happened, because it was able to kill things slower, it wasn't able to kill things as fast, and then mods came around and that made it even slower, and so it needs like a full magazine to kill almost anything, and it's just kind of not enough. Like, it kind of just doesn't have enough ammo in the magazine to kill stuff, and it takes too long. It did get a nerf, I don't even know why, but it got a nerf after that, but I think it was already bad before the nerf happened, to be honest. I still think that. Some people disagree with me, but whatever. Disc 8 is good, 16 is not. I mean, single 16. I mean, doubles. I mean, even the double 8s, they're like not that good, right? Like, no, I mean, like I said, you can make it work. You can make it work. Like, I have, what do I have, bro? I have like freaking Dreadshot. I can probably make it so that I can get like a 8 to 10 kills with a Dreadshot build if I tried real hard. And I could do that maybe somewhat consistently. One of the best performing builds that I have in mid-game right now is my rank 6 Juggernaut with double Graviton 10s. That doesn't mean it's good necessarily, it just means that I make it work.
Die wir ganz nach vorne aufs Mittelfeld
and in the case of Disc Launcher, I feel like it's like there's just way better options. Like, why bother?
Waffe, die ebenfalls im Early Midgame relativ gut funktioniert. Aber es ist halt nicht mehr und nicht weniger. Es ist eine Waffe, die halt im Endgame an ihre Grenzen stößt und also Ansturmwaffen generell sind im Endgame nicht besonders gut und da zählt die Berserker halt einfach dazu.
Also Berserker is a good one.
Ne? Aber
Berserker is really good in like the lower SP. People are absolutely just bodying me with it. There was like a Berserker 8 Crate Rush event or something, and I legitimately wish that I went for it, because it's so strong. It's so strong. But what a lot of people don't realize is that it becomes completely garbage when there's more mods involved, because then like you just don't have the magazine to take somebody out with, like you don't have the capacity to take somebody out in one magazine. And at that point it's like you're wasting so much time, and there's just way better weapons in that case. Let's go back to Waffen tier list.
Besser als Arctorrent, besser als der Disc Launcher. Dann haben
better than Arctorrent, better than Emo Launcher. Wait.
Die setzen wir nochmal vor die
Other way around.
Warum? Erstens eine sehr hohe
Blast RPG, very high magazine.
Ist auch die Art, wie sie
the way it shoots, when the whole thing hits you, is incredibly annoying.
Das setzt
causes a huge explosion.
So eine Art psychischen Druck auf.
Adds a kind of psychological pressure to the whole situation.
Also man fühlt sich doch sehr stark unter Druck gesetzt häufig.
Definitely feel under a lot of pressure often playing against the weapon. It causes a huge splash radius.
Also der Radius vom Splash, der ist absolut gigantisch.
Splash is absolutely gigantic, and the reload time is also relatively moderate. Not official, but relatively moderate.
Definitiv eine Waffe, die
definitely a weapon
Mittelfeld
that
ganz vorne dabei
is right at the top of the midfield, but unfortunately due to the mods as they currently are,
nicht mehr spielbar.
No longer playable in the end game.
Ja.
So that's his take on it, right? I don't know if you guys can hear me over him talking. If I need to turn him down a bit, just let me know. But I would say Blast RPG is an interesting case. I feel like if you were to get really good at it, it actually could be pretty decent. If you were to practice it a bit. The problem is that it has a bit of homing to it, and that homing is actively really, really bad for you. Turn him down a bit. All right, got you, bro. So that the homing on it is really bad. You don't want that. You don't want the homing, because it keeps you from being able to deal back damage. If you have like it's almost like a dual purpose. So it's like if you have like a Lancer or a Lacewing that's jumping, then it's good to have the homing, right? Then you use the homing, whatever. But if you're not, then you have to like actively angle it as far away as possible so that it tries to home in, but then it homes in but then it doesn't home in enough, and it's like just shallow enough to the point where it still ends up hitting behind them. Because ideally, and this is the case with all missile weapons, ideally you want to use the radius to hit them from the back, because that just deals twice the damage. But for Blast RPG, it's just like almost impossible to do that. And it's really annoying to use. In terms of how effective it is, I wouldn't really say it's effective. How many of you guys have gotten bodied by Blast RPG?
Ich weiß nicht, Sie haben ja gesagt, Sie wollen die Mods überarbeiten. Je nachdem, was dabei rauskommt.
Do you want to rework the mods depending on the outcome? Might move up a bit further later, but at the moment, still in the middle of the pack.
Ich glaube, über die Autocannon braucht man nicht sprechen, oder? Am Anfang gut, wenn man mit Paragon Spiele macht, später dann absolut gar nicht mehr nutzbar. Also
absolute garbage.
Waffen. Dann haben wir die Carbine. Und
Carbine
ist ebenfalls eine Müllwaffe.
Better than Autocannon, still really garbage.
Woran liegt das? Es liegt bei der Carbine tatsächlich nicht mal so sehr daran,
dass
es
selber
so schlecht ist, so vom
so much or so her, that it's bad in terms of damage or anything like that, but the sheer competition within the assault weapon category.
Es gibt ja die Orakel.
They're the Oracles, they're Berserkers,
die Overdriver und so weiter. Das sind alles Waffen, die ja um Lichtjahre besser sind als die Carbine. Die ist einfach mittlerweile outdated.
Simply outdated by now.
Outdated, dass ich sie nur noch runter in den Müllsektor stellen kann.
What would you guys say is the problem with Carbine? I think its effective range is pretty garbage. It's like maybe 60 meters tops. But that's the kind of the case with a lot of assault weapons, to be honest. Like, it's not very... They don't have great effective range. Carbine reload time is pretty quick. So I feel like it kind of is the damage that's the problem, right? Is that just me? Like, I feel like it kind of is just the fact that the damage isn't that good. Now, if they made the projectile speed a lot faster... Because, like, the perk, bro, by the way, the perk of Carbine, it, like, listed on the weapon, its listed perk is its projectiles are really fast. No, they're not. They have the same travel speed as Voltaic RPG. I'm pretty sure. They're not fast. So if they were faster, then it'd be a significantly better weapon, because then it'd be more accurate at range. But I think apart from that, even then, I think it's just kind of pretty lackluster. So I think it kind of just needs a damage buff. Carbine's effective range is 30 meters. I guess so. Need Carbine 16. That's true. Carbine 16 needs to exist. That would also be fun.
Aber da immerhin bisher ganz vorne. Weiter geht's mit der
Chain Gun.
Ja, die Chain Gun.
Chain Gun is gonna go
die kann man natürlich
in half decent.
Relativ gut nutzen. Die kann man auch im Midgame relativ gut nutzen, aber im Endgame stößt sie
it's kind of fair, I guess.
Sie fängt langsam an zu schießen und wird immer schneller.
It's not the worst.
Hinter die Berserker setzen. Ja,
also, you don't put it above Arc Torrent?
Yeah,
that's valid. That's valid.
Relativ großes Magazin, aber
relatively large magazine, but I think Berserker and also Blast RPG could be used a bit more effectively.
Ich finde einfach, es ist ein großer
I simply think it's a big disadvantage that the shooting starts slowly and then just gets faster and faster, or do you simply already have weapons in the game that can take you out much faster? So here's my thought on Chain Gun. My thoughts on Chain Gun are essentially in regards to like mag size. So like he's kind of correct. The slow starting is annoying. Especially because if, generally speaking, you'd want to pre-fire. You'd want to kind of spin up the barrels like you would with minigun. But by spinning up the chain gun, you have to waste ammo to do it. So what I've found this is strictly from my own personal experience with the weapon, at mostly on my main account, right? Strictly from my own experience with the weapon, I've generally found that chain gun magazine is... Like, the damage is half decent and the magazine is okay, enough to kill one thing relatively consistently, but you really can't kill any more than one thing. So then, but you have, you have like a little bit of mag left, but not enough, right? So then you have to reload, but the reload's 10 seconds. So I think the reload's kind of just way longer than it needs to be. If they cut the reload down to like 5 seconds, I think it would be an okay weapon. Because I think it's fine for the weapon itself to be generally lower damage. It is generally lower damage than minigun. It's okay for it to be generally lower damage, generally higher effective range, which it does. It has like 110 meters effective range almost. It's really good effective range. And the magazine is not that high. I think it's also okay for the magazine to not be that high. But I think if you're going to have all those things in place, then the reload shouldn't be freaking 10 seconds, bro. It takes 10 seconds to unload the magazine, let alone reload it. So, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of my thought on it. Berserker has dispersion that's very bad in comparison to Chain Gun. Yeah, like Berserker, you can't hold down the trigger, but the damage of Berserker is way higher. The damage of Berserker is higher than Minigun, and the damage of Minigun is, like, significantly higher than Chain Gun, I think. I don't have double overdrivers, but trust me, Voltaic RPG is better than it's given credit for. You don't have double overdriver, but Voltaic RPG is better than it's... How are those two related? What's going on? I mean, you might be right. I just never bothered investing in it, but, like, why are those two in the same sentence? Chain Gun needs a massive buff, yeah. It could also use a damage buff, to be honest. Continuum. I actually see Continuum as being relatively far ahead in the game. There's some who also use them in endgame, often on things like Blockhorn, for example, but I don't see them there. Spanish that is virtually unlimited ammunition is unlimited. Never needs to reload. Fairly slow fire rate, moderate damage. I would say we'll put them in...
aber tatsächlich einfach hinter die,
Put him in front of Berserker.
Die Blast-RPG. Ne? Also vor die Berserker einfach aufgrund der fehlenden Nachladezeit. Klar, sie hat eine langsamere Kadenz als der Berserker, aber sie ist halt dafür ein bisschen konstanter in ihrer Einsetzbarkeit. Bei beiden Waffen musst du den Gegner direkt vorm Auge haben. Das ist auch der Grund, warum sie hinter der Blast-RPG ist, denn die Blast-RPG hat halt, abgesehen davon, dass sie natürlich auch einen verhältnismäßig starken Damage macht, im Vergleich zu den anderen...
so he's gonna put Blast-RPG above Continuum because it has essentially guarding, guided homing. Jeez. It has guarded ammunition and an RPG radius. Obviously. Anyway, Continuum is like... I think it's okay. It's kind of not that good. It's kind of not that good. I don't necessarily think that it's better than Berserker, but I also don't necessarily think that it's worse than Berserker. I don't really know. It very much, I would say it's one of those things where it's like it completely depends on the mech that you're using it on, right? Like there are some mechs that I'd choose Continuum, and then there's some mechs that I'd choose Berserker. And I think it's fairly, like, if I only had those two weapons, and I think it's fairly split 50-50 as to which one I would choose for which mech, so I don't really know what my opinion on that is. All I know is that Continuum isn't nearly as good as I originally thought it was.
Javelin, die kommt auch hier unten ins Müllregal, hinter die Carbine, vor die Autocannon. Cryo Javelin ist quasi
Salver with the Continuum,
die halt noch einen Stasis-Effekt verursacht.
Well, it's like range versus brawler, right? It's just like Continuum has like what, 130 or is it 110? I can never remember. It's like a little over 100 meters range, and it can deal full damage at that range. Whereas Berserker is like the complete opposite. It has like absolute garbage range, but it deals way more damage, right? So it's like it kind of just depends on which mech that you put it on. Blast RPG is Podgun with no delay, yet not as good as Podgun. Well, yeah, it's because it doesn't stick. The homing isn't good enough to where you can curve it around corners, but it's bad enough to where you can't really hit people effectively in the back. That's the problem with it. That's what I think. I think they went full balls to the wall with Hornets homing, and I think that they should have done the opposite with Blast RPG. They should have given it no homing at all. I don't think they should have given it homing at all. Now, I'm sure the point behind it was probably just to make it easier for mobile players to use it, but I think now that mobile players have the manual aiming mode, I don't think Blast RPG needs the homing anymore.
Was insbesondere im Early Game sehr OP ist. Also wie gesagt, Early Gamer, Javelins, sehr, sehr gut, aber halt nur Early.
Javelins very, very good early game.
Dann haben wir die...
But only for early game, is what he's saying. I don't think so. I think cryo javelins are better than regular javelins, and like you get the 12, right? And the 12s can be really strong. If we're talking just the 6, then sure, that's not going to be good. But I'm assuming we're talking about the 6 and the 12. like all of the cryo javelin variants. In which case, I'd put it probably above Blast RPG.
Game auch entsprechend Damage. Natürlich keine Chance gegen einen Borrow Beam oder Stormwreck oder so, ne? Wie gesagt, sie ist auch nicht Top-Meta. Sie ist nur in der Meta, man kann sie als Backup zocken auf dem richtigen Mech. Wenn man lustig ist, muss man aber nicht. Aber sie kann halt in der einen oder anderen Situation auch
can cause considerable damage in certain situations, even in endgame. So he's essentially a cryo launcher glazer, is what he's saying. That's valid. That's valid. I think it's better than people give it credit for, but it is very tricky to use.
Vor den Cryo Launcher, der kann schon ganz schön wehtun. Zum einen geht ein gewisser prozentualer Anteil des
Disruptor in front of Cryo Launcher.
Mods und
that's,
eine sehr geringe
I don't know.
Außerdem hat sie
I guess so.
riesen Schadensradius und ist sehr,
huge damage radius,
aus ihrem
very well suited, so to speak, shooting campers out of their corner. Yeah, it's good for getting people who are hiding behind a corner, because you could just, you know, fire it and it just passes by and deals like path damage to them. And it's pretty decent. It's pretty, I don't dislike it, yeah. I think it's better than, I think like not a lot of people use it for kind of good reason, but it's also maybe slightly better than people give it credit for. Has 100% sentry piercing too. Yeah, that's true.
Falls ihr euch mal so ein bisschen ältere Gameplays von mir anguckt, also nicht so alt, dass es schon keine Mods mehr gab, sondern wirklich mal, keine Ahnung, halbes Jahr, Dreivierteljahr, Jahr vielleicht, da werdet ihr sehen, dass ich zum Beispiel auf Artifact X häufig auf Mimika die 16er Variante gespielt habe und das sehr erfolgreich. Also die kann man auf jeden Fall nutzen, muss man aber nicht. Dreadshot.
He played. Wait, hold on. If I understand, I don't know. The waffles are very complicated, fellas. If I'm not mistaken, it sounds like he's saying that he played Disruptor 16 Mimicker in 5v5. And he did really well with it. And that's essentially him saying that he had good experiences with Disruptor. That's kind of valid because I've gotten owned more than once by Disruptor Mimicker specifically. Disruptor is good. Yeah, it's not bad. Also, I like the little thing that he's got going on here.
Kleiner Disclaimer an der Stelle noch, habe ich am Anfang vergessen. Die Waffen, die jetzt von der zweiten Rebalancing-Welle betroffen werden, die bewerte ich auch schon im Vorfeld.
Hold on. Let me go back.
Dreadshot. Schwierig.
That's difficult. Smaller. So a small disclaimer at this point. I forgot at the beginning I'm already evaluating the weapons that are now affected by the second rebalancing wave.
So dass ich sage, ich berücksichtige.
So I'm taking into account the buffs or nerfs that are of the respective items received. You did the same thing with Max. As already mentioned, it gets a 63% damage buff. No, it does not. No, it does not. It gets a 10.5% damage. Bro! It should have, though. It should have. They could have given this thing 100% damage buff and 100% sentry piercing, and it still would not have been good. Except against sentry. It's wild, bro. Disruptor being a hallway weapon makes it map dependent. I agree with you, but it's also the only weapon that can do what it does very effectively. So like it is very, very effective at in certain situations. So if you can specifically keep yourself into those situations, then it is, I think, pretty darn good. 10.54% was a joke. Why 5.4? Is that actually what it got? I don't know. Yeah, 10.5% is, yeah, it's way, bro, what? How does that even happen? It's literally 6 times less. Like exactly 6 times less than what they said it was going to get. What? Oh no, man. Oh no, man. It almost feels worse. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Dreadshot almost feels worse after the buff simply because my expectations of it were slightly higher. And then it ended up being kind of still garbage. And so now it feels worse.
Ich würde sagen,
optimal range increase 70 to 100. Yeah, sure.
In der Meta sehe ich sie noch nicht. Da sehe ich sie noch
I
nicht,
don't see it in the meta. I don't see it
viel zu lange braucht,
there yet. It takes far too long to get through the mods, but I actually see them as being on the same level as Continuum, although I must say I actually see them further ahead because of the damage. The damage obviously be bad once they receive their buff, and especially in mid-game, where mods don't play a very big role yet, or if they are, they're usually not very well leveled. That will certainly take out a few enemies, but still falls short of Blast RPG. Because already mentioned, Blast RPG can simply score incredibly low with the splash damage. So I probably would have thought the same, but yeah, instead it's garbage because the devs don't know how to do basic math. Give Dreadshot 900% damage buff and it still sucks. You know, it might. There's a non-zero chance that it would still suck after that, which is kind of a problem. It's quasher math? Yeah, you're right, actually. Whoever was in charge of whoever doing their math these days is wild, and bro. Like, they're on all the shrooms. You name it, he's on it. The Eclipse Glazer and Plarium escaped the prison. He canceled the Dreadshot buff in protest to Eclipse nerf. I guess so. They fired him and hired a new guy who can't do math. He's like 8 years old. He doesn't know what's going on. 100k per shot won't suck. I mean, it's a joke, bro. Come on. Devs need a Chef Flow's math lesson? I guess so. They need something, that's for sure. And it ain't shrooms. They don't need the Pablo powder is strong with this one. EM rifle meta weapon, sure if the opponent is using multilayer, then EM rifle has nothing. As soon as the opponent uses blockade, and I have to say, you see that more and more, even though it's total nonsense, then you can still play it relatively effectively. It's very dependent on mods, and perhaps I'll put them at the very end. It's also behind a cryo launcher, but we'll leave it on the meta list for now. Okay, so he says meta, but like clearly it's not actually meta because he has a completely different tier for like the actual meta. So the stuff that I would call meta is his top meta, and the stuff that's in his like, you know, secondary meta tier, I would not call that meta at all. But I think we both kind of think of it the same way, right? So like he's essentially just taking the same thing and calling it something else. EM rifle, I mean, on Orion, sure. Anything else, I'd kind of say probably not. You get about 1,500 A coins from event tomorrow. Should you spin for Deathwalker? I don't know. If you can't guarantee it, then it's you know, it's a risk, it's a gamble. Yeah, I don't know. It might be good, it might be really bad. So, I mean, it's just like you can't. If you Pablo, speak of the men, yeah. So you've been sharing your powder with some guys in Plarium, and I think you should stop. Yeah. It's become a problem. You swear Ember Gun is underrated? It's probably true, but I think the simple fact of the matter is that Ember Gun is just strictly worse than Revoker. And there's no reason to use it. Like, if you have Revoker, why bother using Ember Gun? It's kind of just worse, objectively. Like, it's probably not as bad as people make it out to be, but it like, at the end of the day, if most people have something better that serves the exact same purpose, so I don't think anyone really bothers to use it. Dreadshot should ignore mods. I think that might be a little too strong, but yeah, I don't know.
Ember Gun würde ich auch fast sagen, kommt hier ganz vorne hin. ist nach wie vor eine solide Waffe.
Still a solid weapon. I personally quite like playing this 16 energy Ember Gun
wenn ich ihn mal Gassi führe sozusagen. Das funktioniert wunderbar. Die Ember Gun kannst du noch zocken,
works perfectly. You can still play the Bergen Gun without anyone. Borobam.
In den meisten Fällen nicht. Und aber trotzdem.
Yo, what are these words?
Wenn man sagt, okay, ich brauche
I'm learning a lot of new words.
Ember Gun. Super.
Amber Gun, yeah, great choice. Against Borobam. Oh, no, Borobam is probably Burrow Beam. Hold on. I don't know what I'm looking at, guys. Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. You run 5 close quarters builds. I ran out of Revokers, so I use Ember Gun. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. It's like, yeah, I mean, like I said, like it's pretty good, but like it's worse than Revoker, and everyone has Revokers, so like, why would you bother? I think that's the reason pretty much nobody uses it. Fragment guns are awesome too. I actually agree with you. Fragment gun is better than Howler because it has more ammo. Well, I guess now maybe not because it doesn't have the reload time is way longer, but it has more damage per shot, more ammo, and the reload time I think is somewhat similar. And obviously basically the same range.
Feld, würde ich auch hier vorsetzen. Ja, wobei.
And it's way cheaper.
Fragment Gun auch hinter der
Fragment Gun is like low-key not a bad investment. But it has kind of the similar situation as Howler, right?
Ne? Oder auf anderen Mechs, die halt für Nahkampf geeignet sind, wie halt auch eben Eclipse oder Surge und so weiter.
You use double Overdriver 16 on Panther, that's pretty good.
Die war ja auch eine ganze Weile im Endgame spielbar, da habe ich sie auch auf
Reaver or Overdriver? I go with Overdriver, to be honest. Better range.
Für eine seltene Waffe wirklich sehr, sehr stark und da Nahkampfwaffen
Reaver doesn't have the damage output to compare with to like compete with Revoker, to be honest. It has a little bit of range on Revoker, but that's about it, right?
Kommt die auf jeden Fall vorne hin, aber im Endgame kannst du halt leider nicht mehr
spielen. It's kind of niche.
Gut, dann haben wir die Fuse Mortar.
Fuse Mortar.
Artilleriewaffen sind so eine Sache.
Really garbage?
Ich würde sie aufs Mittelfeld packen, allerdings
he thinks it's really bad.
Relativ weit hinten, relativ.
I don't think it's great.
Kann man sogar nicht. Ich setze sie. Boah.
Above Arc Torrent? Dark Torrent, sorry, Emo Torrent? Above Chain Gun?
Ich setze sie vor die Chain Gun und hinter den
Below Berserker?
Die ganzen Artilleriewaffen,
sure.
Egal ob jetzt der Mortar, der später auch noch kommt, oder
Artillery
jetzt
weapons, whether it's Mortar, which come later, or Fused Mortar, simply have advantage that uses supporter in the background can knock the enemy out of their cover. So to speak, it has to be moved, otherwise he'll die. And that simply gives your teammates the opportunity to take the opponent out. It's not a hemlock or anything. The weapon actually has a high team component, at least in mid-game, and can score quite a few points as a result. Furthermore, projectiles get stuck in the ground and explode later. If you're not careful, you'll get killed. And if they hit, it hurts a bit. So I've been already working already there in the mid game. They're OP in the early game, but still you definitely put them there. I kind of agree. Yeah, they're okay, but they're not great. Dark Torrents fell off. Yeah, I agree. Dark Torrent. Well, it was Arc Torrent, but then it became Dark Torrent when it started being not that useful and became emo. Dreadshot over Berserker is crazy. Yeah, but to be fair, though, he thought it was getting a 63% damage buff. In his defense, he thought it was getting a 63% damage buff. And if it was getting a 63% damage buff, then it probably would have been better. Fusion Cannon. Oh yeah, let's go. Oh, it's garbage.
Fusion Cannon bin ich kein großer Freund von.
It's garbage. What?
Vor die Javelin, aber weiter vor geht nicht. Also
I mean, it's kind of objectively worse than Carbine, huh?
Carbine tatsächlich. Weder vom Handling noch von irgendetwas anderem her.
It has like zero optimal range. It has a range implant, but it's like it's so bad. The projectile speed is so slow that it's like almost impossible to hit anything above 30 meters. $211. What do you mean? Where? The OG. Yeah, I mean, I agree. But I don't see 211 anywhere. Where'd you see 211?
Dann haben wir die Gauss Rifle. Gauss Rifle auch totaler Crap. Kommt halt hier hinter die...
Gauss Rifle is also total crap. Yeah, that's basically what he said. I agree with you. Gauss Rifle's pretty garbage. The Cryo Javelin slander. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. The Cryo Javelin should be better. It should be probably under Berserker, maybe. But that's about it.
Auf Killshot oder auf Slingshot und man kann hin und her dashen, ist nicht erreichbar. Sie hat zwar eine entsprechende Reichweite hier, die Gauss Rifle, aber man muss
decent range, sehen, ne? But you still have to see the opponent, and if it comes down to a battle, for example,
die Waffe nutzt, und dann möchte er die Waffe nutzt, dann wird vermutlich
part of the weapon uses weapon, presumably the one with Javelin will win. Okay, well that's kind of a bad way of thinking about it, right? So he's essentially saying it's like, well, I'm putting it next to this other thing, and if we had a 1v1 with somebody using Cryo Javelin versus somebody using Gauss Rifle, then the Cryo Javelin would probably win. It's like, well, yeah, but like if we had a 1v1 versus Fuse Mortar and literally anything, literally anything would win. Like that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to think about it like that. If it was a 1v1, then the most brawler heavy one would be the one that wins, pretty much always. So, like, I agree with him that it's bad, but it's just weird that he's using that justification. Like, I think that's some weird logic. We need cryo rockets. I mean, we already have cryo rockets. We have cryo javelin. I think what you really want is, like, a stasis assault weapon or something like that. Or a stasis close quarters weapon. That would actually be really toxic. Stasis close quarters weapon would actually be low-key pretty darn good. Gauss Rifle should be uncommon and long arms be rare. He would rate Berserker over Podgun with that logic. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, I don't think he actually believes that that's a good way of... I think he's just kind of, I don't know. He's just kind of spitting out something for the sake of justifying why he personally feels like Gauss Rifle's worse than Cryo Javelin. Like, there really isn't, like, a specific justification. Like, I get it. I've made tier lists before as well, right? So I don't think he's necessarily taking all of these... I don't think he's taking all of these weapons and comparing them in that way specifically. But I do think it's weird to... I think it's weird to even mention that type of... Like that type of logic.
Ja, kommen wir zur
I think it's just kind of weird.
Die Gemini war letztes Jahr noch hier. Ganz
right
vorne,
at the top here, last year, super, yes, police car siren on, driving by, interfering with my recording?
Die Gemini war letztes Jahr relativ vorne.
Sure, it's relatively far ahead last year. In the second tier, I think it's the meter. 3 world plus riders? I'm reconsidered that a bit. Hold on, what am I reading? What? This has gotten progressively more unhinged. What is he saying? 3 world riders in the meter of middle level. Shit, bro.
War letztes Jahr noch relativ vorne.
Okay.
In der zweiten Ebene, ich glaube in der Meta-Ebene. Ich glaube, ich habe das letztes Jahr
anders gemacht. He still thinks it's meta.
Das habe ich ein bisschen überdacht, muss ich sagen. Also ich würde mittlerweile...
Reconsidering it a bit, I must say, probably put it higher up now and put it in the top meters. The Gemini is extremely powerful, homing. Already mentioned, it's a bit tricky to handle once you get the hang of it. You're really only vulnerable to things like Eclipse, things that can't target. Otherwise, quite
starkes Ding, sehr kurze Nachladezeit,
very short reload time.
Mit der Schwächung der ersten Rakete und dem
the weekend from the first rocket makes the second one deal more damage.
Ist das schon ein relativ böses Ding. Ich sehe sie.
Pretty nasty.
Das ist eigentlich eine gute Frage. Ich sehe sie noch hinter dem Borrow-Beam.
The system behind Borrow-Beam, I'll tell you honestly, because Borrow-Beam can do relatively more damage. If played correctly, but they don't do much to each other. Gemini's a little further back, but it's not as if there's a huge gap. So he's basically saying Gemini is essentially top 2 weapon. W trans Scarbler, thank you. I'm doing my best. Waffle translation is difficult. It takes a lot of practice to speak waffle. But on top of that, he's essentially saying that Gemini is like just as good as Burrow Beam, and it's essentially just like a top meta weapon. I disagree with that because it's kind of pretty easy to just take a corner and hide and block because the projectiles are sort of slow. And it's good. Obviously, stealth is a good way of countering it. It's kind of like one of the only ways of like fully countering it. Gemini does a lot of damage, but it's mostly only really good against bots, to be honest. Like, if you're fighting competent players, Gemini is not necessarily going to get a stupid amount of kills. Especially in top meta when there's a lot of mods involved. I will say that as well. It's because it would take like 4 magazines or something to kill anything with Gemini that has like maxed perimeter multilayer or something like that. It can take a lot. The bots can be easy to kill because the bots don't usually use perimeter multilayer and they're really dumb. So they'll just like they'll just spin around and do nothing while you shoot them. But I don't know. I think putting it in essentially what's essentially S tier, I think putting it in essentially S tier is not the worst decision. I might do that myself as well, right? But I wouldn't put it right next to Burrow Beam.
Moderat, also beide auf einem ähnlichen Level. Dann haben wir den Gravity
Such a passive build will lose you the match, yeah, sometimes.
Zweitstärksten Beam im Spiel.
But it's also kind of like stupid amounts of damage. So if you can target people, like if you can like let your bots or whatever take down the layers or like your teammates, right? Like assuming you're not fighting just bots. It's really good against bots, obviously. It's really good against solid mods, right? Like the solid shields, blockade, and perimeter. Because it like one-shot those mods. But also just generally speaking, if you let the perimeter multilayer get stripped by like your teammates and then you shoot them with Gemini, it's really good. Then it's really good. It is still very good. It is kind of usable even in like meta competitive gameplay from my experience. Like I'm not the most experienced at this, so you know, someone like Platinum could he can make his own stream talking about my stream, who's talking about Hypho's Waffen burger tier list, whatever the frick it's called. So yeah, but I would say it's like it's good, but it's not Burrow Beam good.
Blast RPG. Der Graviton Beam hat halt eine ziemlich starke Ability mit diesem Explosion.
Revoker, Minigun or Overdrive are on Eclipse.
Hat eine wahnsinnige Reichweite, also wirklich fast
probably Minigun or Overdrive, whichever one's stronger.
Halt die Sache, dass das Magazin kaum leer geht. Also eine Magazinkapazität. An Mods beißt er sich leider ein bisschen die Zähne aus. Da kommt es schon öfter vor, dass mal das Magazin leer ist. Aber im Early Mid-Game ist das Ding absolut feierbar. Und natürlich relativ weit vorne.
Absolutely worth celebrating and naturally quite far ahead.
Ist ja nichts weiter als eine extrem geboostete
You heard it here first, folks. Gemini is worth celebrating.
Die ist im Midgame auch noch spielbar, definitiv.
Helix Rack.
Sagen,
I thought he was going to put it below autocannon. I was about to freaking uninstall YouTube.
Hierher, würde ich sagen. Die kommen fürs Midgame hierher. Weil du halt mit der Javelin agieren kannst. Du musst den Gegner auch nicht unbedingt sehen. Du kannst beim Schießen eine Bewegung machen, dass die Projektile...
You know, I still think... I'm not sure. Because, like, Helix... Like, all the epic stuff is cheaper to upgrade now. So, like, if you wanted to heavily invest in that sort of thing, then I guess Helix Rack is better. But I think, generally speaking, Javelin Rack might even be better, because, like... And the reason that I'm going to say that is because, like, they're very, very similar in terms of all of their stats. The damage of Javelin Rack is slightly worse, but the upgrade cost is a bit lower. So my thought process is that probably if you were to get a maxed out Javelin Rack versus a not maxed Helix Rack, and if you were to use the same amount of resources on both weapons, I think the Javelin Rack would end up being stronger. But if you were going to max out the Helix Rack anyway, then obviously max performance Helix Rack is better than max performance Javelin Rack. But if you were to use the same amount of resources, on both weapon, I'm pretty sure Javelin Rack's just generally more cost-effective. I think so. Javelins have much worse arcing, though. That's kind of true. But they also have more projectiles, so it, like, sort of makes up for it. And don't they have, like, better, Don't they have, like, better curving? Don't they curve better? Javelin implants are cheaper, too. That's true, I suppose. You feel like Continuum is underrated. Like, you think that he put Continuum too far down? Oh, no, I don't think Continuum's that good. Berserker goated, not gonna lie. It's very good at lower SP when there's not a lot of mods. But I think what a lot of people don't understand is that when there's more mods involved, then you can't kill somebody in a single mag. Because the thing with it is, like, you know, when there's less mods or whatever, it'll just, like, absolutely choose through somebody's multi-layered shield and then just, you know, completely obliterate them because they don't have a whole ton of HP. And you can kill somebody really quickly with that, with, like, a single burst or whatever. But that's not really the case at max level. At max level, you need, like, honestly, multiple magazines. So you're firing at them for a little while, and then your weapons start to spread out a lot. And then you have to either chill or get really close to them. If you get really close to them, then you can keep firing. But otherwise, you just have to chill. But, I mean, like, you keep firing at them, and it's like you dump your full mag. All of your damage boost gets absorbed by Galvanic Hull, right? So you have a big damage buildup, right? Like, essentially where your double damage chance builds up to 100%. All of that extra damage gets absorbed by Galvanic Hull. A lot of your projectiles get absorbed by just generally mod shields and whatever. The perimeter multi-layer and whatever. And so you just don't really have the brawler capacity to take somebody out that quickly. And it's kind of unfortunate. It's kind of unfortunate because it's an okay weapon. It's an okay weapon, but it's surprisingly bad at high level. Also 20 meters less range, yeah. Low SP with Sentinel Berserker is really nice. Oh, yeah, no, for sure. I 100% agree with you. It's really good low SP. I'm just telling you why I don't think it's good at high SP. Yeah, I'm not arguing with you. It's very good low SP. I wish I got it.
Eine andere Flugbahn oder eine wesentlich
extremere
Flugbahn einnehmen, den Gegner doch noch irgendwie zu erwischen, auch wenn hinterm Eck steht. Also du hast mit der Waffe definitiv die Möglichkeit, noch gezielt
einzugreifen. You still definitely have the option to intervene in a targeted manner.
Du musst den Gegner
you don't necessarily have that.
Ne? Deswegen würde ich sagen, die Helix, die ist schon noch gut machbar.
Always have to see your See, he keeps mentioning that, bro. Like, he keeps... I mean, like, yeah, it's sort of an aspect, right? But he keeps mentioning that as, like, some major downside where it's like, oh no, you actually have to have line of sight on your enemy in order to use this weapon. It's like, well, so do most weapons, so do most abilities. Like, what do you mean? So I don't know, man. I feel like having line of sight with a weapon is not a big deal. But it really seems like he's making it out to be kind of a big deal. And the kind of the other side of this as well, right? Because he's saying, like, oh, you don't really have to be line of sight to use something like Helix Rack. The other side of that coin is that you literally can't use it indoors, and that the weapon is completely off. It's completely just, like, off the table when it comes to anything that has a ceiling. And so most weapons that would be effective, like where most weapons would be effective, that one weapon or that type of weapon just isn't. So, like, radius can be helpful because you don't need line of sight, but you can still hit people and it's still effective regardless of ceilings. But a weapon like Helix Rack is just completely garbage if there's, like, any type of ceiling involved. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't really take the line of sight argument to necessarily be super. I'm trying to block the light, bro, to necessarily be like the best argument. You think the translation is garbage? No. No, I bet you this is 100% accurate, bro. Dark Torrent Waffen tier list. Are you guys ready? Because you should have been like 20 minutes ago. Orion shield piercing implant deal full extra damage to mech HP, even if someone has a galvanic hole, or does it absorb the extra damage? It does not get absorbed by galvanic hole. No, I don't think so. I think if the weapon has double damage chance, then maybe some of that extra damage might get absorbed by it, but I'm not sure. I don't think so. Hellfire and Hornet effects should stack like Suppressor. Yeah. Well, Hellfire especially. Hornet actually, I think, is kind of okay now. I think the buff that they gave Hornet was was kind of okay. But Hellfire, 100% agree with you. 100% agree. And in fact, I actually don't think that there's any way that Hellfire would ever be good unless they did that.
Hellfire, auch die sehe ich relativ weit vorne hier im mittleren Bereich.
Hellfire.
Die Frage ist halt nur,
the only question is where. I would almost say that it's definitely ahead of Fragment Gun. Definitely ahead of everything else back here, but I'm a little conflicted about it right now. Still see the Blast RPG in the lead. Blast RPG ahead of the Hellfire. The question now is Graviton Beam or Hellfire, because as already mentioned, Graviton Beam has an incredibly high energy magazine and capacity, and an incredibly long range which can fire. I don't remember him covering Graviton Beam at all, I'm not gonna lie. Was I just like completely absent during that? Did I zone out? What happened? When did Graviton Beam get there? I don't remember that. But also... What? Confirmed Hellfire Glazer, bro. Hellfire and Dreadshot need to damage fast, slow damage. Or need to damage fast, slow damage equals garbage. Okay, well, look, if that's the case, then there's no such thing as slow damage. I think you're maybe not thinking about it right. I think that there is a case for slow damage. Something like Minigun has slow damage, but the way that they offset that is the fact that it has just an absolutely massive magazine, so there's basically no avoiding it, and it does good damage, right? So the damage is good, but it's also fairly slow. I think it's okay to have slow damage, but I think you need some way to make it work. You need some way to make it worth it, especially. I think what really makes Hellfire garbage is the fact that it has basically 0 range. And so you need to put yourself essentially within, like, you know, all of these dangerous things. Like, all of the most dangerous weapons and the most dangerous mechs all have abilities that can affect you close range. Or like, all of those can affect you close range, right? They might not necessarily be exclusively close range, but all of them can operate at close range. So you're in the most amount of danger when you're up close, and the payoff needs to be good. If the payoff is not good, then it's garbage. Now, I think a high amount of DOT is okay, because then it's basically a hit-and-run weapon, where you apply the burn, and then you go in, you apply the burn, and then you come out, and then you let them take DOT damage. I think that's okay, but the damage needs to be pretty high. Like, the DOT damage needs to be pretty high for that to happen. You were busy translating? That sounds about right, though. You zoned out. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I must have not paid attention, bro. You think you might know why they made Dreadnought from 63% to 10.5%? So why do you think that? I already know the reason, but why do you think that? It's a grand conspiracy. Why not Revoker on Eclipse? Because Revoker doesn't have... Like, it has really, really bad range, so it's just hard to chase people down with it. You can definitely use it. It's good for, like, free-for-all in 5v5. But otherwise, it's risky because anyone who has over like 40 meters range on their weapons can potentially just chip away at you as you're trying to close the distance. As opposed to Surge, Surge can just dash in and cover 40 meters in like literally half a second. Eclipse cannot do that. It has to just sprint at you and hope that things work out. I'm waiting for Deadly Drum, but he's not saying anything. Zachary, hello, how are you? Anyway, so, hold on. I think if we were to do the math right, it would be like better, maybe other heavy-duty weapons, or they were fearing people complaining of both there being 2 meta weapons, which are in the beams and heavy-duty. No, I think they're just incompetent and they can't do math. I think that's essentially it. So here's what I think. Here's what I'm assuming. This is what I'm assuming based on what I've been like, you know, the things that I've heard and things that I've been told and the things that I've observed, right? So what I think that most people think of, I think most people just assume that they're talking about buffs. They're like, oh, okay. So they're going to buff it by this percent. That means that they just go to the code and they just multiply it by whatever percentage, by whatever multiplier percentage thing. And then that's the way that they buff it. No, I don't think so. I think they take the original damage value, let's say, in this case, the damage. They take the original damage value, and then they take the target damage value, right? And so they just move it from one damage value to the next damage value to whatever it is that they think is good. And then whatever that happens to be in terms of like mathematically, when they make the announcements about like, oh, this is going to be buffed by X percent, that's just them telling us something, like basically them telling us what's changing in a way that we can understand it, right? So that we get a baseline of how much they changed it by. I don't think that they specifically be like, okay, this needs 10.5% damage buff. We need to go there and make sure that it has 10.5% damage buff. I don't think so. And 10.5 is a really random number anyway. 63% is a really random number. So I don't think they're necessarily going by the percentages. I think they're just going by target values. And then they're calculating what percentage that ends up being afterward. And they were just really bad at math, so they got it wrong. That's what I think. Dual Tetra Rifle 10 good on Eclipse? Yeah, probably. Anyway, he's saying Hellfire is better than Fragment Gun and Helix Track. I don't even think Hellfire is better than Jover, bro. I think Hellfire is probably worse than... Do I think it's worse than Chain Gun? Yeah, probably. It's probably better than Dark Torrent, though. Emo Torrent. It's probably better than Dark Torrent.
So, vom Spielen her, wenn es zum Beispiel der Spieler mit der Hellfire schafft, zu dem Graviton...
Player with Hellfire manages to reach Graviton Beam and then shoot at each other. Oh, he's doing that again, where it's like he puts one thing next to another thing, and then he tries to use 1v1 logic to determine which one's better. It's like, well, that just determines which one would win in a 1v1. That doesn't mean that that one's better, right? Because, like, if we're using 1v1 logic, then Berserker would be better than all of those things, right? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why he's using that logic. Helix Rack and Fuse Mortar would be at the bottom because obviously they can't 1v1 at all. Continuum would be a lot lower. Like, Fragment Gun would be way better than Graviton Beam if he's using 1v1 logic. I just don't really get it. It's worse than Carbine? You know, I'm not sure if that's true, but it might be. It's 21st in India, so when am I announcing the giveaway winners? Oh, well, you know, I don't go by India time because I don't live in India. It's crazy how that works, right?
Boarding Graviton Beam. Dann kommen wir zur Hornet, die ja jetzt auch einen Buff bekommt. Der Buff ist allerdings
so this one also had a buff.
Game sehr spürbar, fürs Midgame auch definitiv spürbar.
Gonna make a new weapon tier list soon? Yeah.
Weiter vorne an, als ich sie noch letztes Jahr angesetzt hätte. Sie hat auch eine leicht zielsuchende Eigenschaft. Ich würde sagen, Hornet mit dem
I would say Hornet with the poisoning damage and also the annoyingness actually takes precedence over
Fragment Gun.
Fragment Gun.
Doch.
Yes.
Dann haben wir den Howler, der ja auch
so he thinks Hornet's better than hold on.
Buff bekommen hat, tatsächlich.
Howler. Let's just think about Hornet though. I think Hornet's kind of okay. I'm taking like a general, like I'm kind of looking at this from a general perspective, right? Like some of these I think should be moved. Obviously, I'd move some of these, but I'd say Hornet generally like sort of toward the top of essentially early game strongness is probably good. I actually might put it further up here, to be honest, because this is essentially like strong stuff for like sort of late game, but not super late game. Is I think so. Like, yeah, honestly, I would say, I mean, Hornet's pretty good now. It's pretty good now, and it's about as good as Podgun, maybe. I would probably put it above Ember Gun, and I would definitely put it above Disruptor. I think everyone can probably agree that it's probably better than Disruptor at this point. Yeah, I'd probably put it about there. I'd probably put it at the top of this one. It's better than Blast RPG? Yeah, no, man, I agree with that. He's kind of a low-key Blast RPG glazer, though. You're just waiting for this list from several months? What do you mean? Which weapon's the best for Deathwalker? Stormrack. It's easy. You use Howler over Podgun on your main hanger on Aegis. That's fair. But, like, they don't serve the same purpose, right? It's kind of like Howler versus Overdriver. It's like, yeah, like, Howler's obviously, or not Howler, but Podgun versus Overdriver, right? Like, yeah, Howler's going to be better in certain situations. Like, depending on the weapon that you have, would kind of determine when you spawn it and what types of situations you'd spawn it in, right? Like, where and when you'd spawn it is dependent on, essentially, what type of weapon you have. If you're in a close quarter situation, yeah, probably Howler's going to do better. But if you're in basically any other situation, Podgun's probably going to do better, right? I think Overdriver is sort of a split between the two, personally. I think it's decent enough brawler and also decent enough range that is probably one of the better options, but I don't know.
Kürzeste Nachladezeit und so weiter. Also das ist auch relativ gut
mittlerweile. Howler is gonna put
zur Meta-Waffe erklären. Die Frage ist nur, wo setzen wir sie hin? Hier auf jeden Fall.
Cryo Launcher below
die bessere
Disruptor below Ember Gun?
Die beiden hier. Ich bin fast der Überzeugung.
I would still put Howler above Ember Gun, to be honest.
Die setzen wir auf jeden Fall vor.
Above Disruptor, sure. Yeah, above Disruptor.
Vor ihn hier auf jeden Fall. Weil der ja einfach einen höheren Damage Output
simply has higher damage output in a shorter time. I mean, yeah, but it has a lower range.
So kann halt doch noch ausweichen ab einer gewissen Entfernung. Aber Ember Gun, ich würde sagen, die
Ember Gun, I would say we'll leave Ember Gun in the lead. It's even better than the Howler. Okay, guys, do we agree with that? Is Ember Gun better than Howler? There's 2 more rebalances, meaning at least 2 more weapon nerfs. No, I don't think there's any more. I don't think there's any more nerfs. Well, there might be like 1 or 2, but I like there might not be any, right? Like a rebalance doesn't necessarily mean there has to be a nerf. It could just be buffs. In fact, the last one, what did they say in the last one? The last one, they said they're going to focus primarily on buffs. They said that this was going to be the last major nerf. Like the last major session of nerfs, and they're gonna focus on buffs, which means like maybe they might do like 1 extra nerf, but I think the rest of them are basically just gonna be buffs. Potentially, right? This is just based on what they said, right? They could be wrong because they are very often wrong. Ember is better. Almost equal? Okay, I guess people think Ember's better than Howler. I kind of don't agree with that.
Halt hinter die Cryo Javelin, an sich das gleiche, nur ihr fehlt halt einfach der Stasis-Effekt, dementsprechend ist sie halt besser. Longarm, ebenfalls eine Waffe, die so eher Richtung Schrott gehört. Extrem lange Nachladezeit, es bedarf einiges an Praxis, um die Waffe ordentlich spielen zu können.
Hold on, what was the last one?
An sich das gleiche, nur wir die normale Javelin.
Oh, Javelin Rack.
Dementsprechend ist sie
Javelin Rack he put below Cryo Javelin, which I guess is fair, but like they're both pretty similar to Helix Rack. Like Helix Rack is all the way up here versus these, which are all the way down. What? Why? I don't get it, bro. They're definitely better than Fuse Mortar. Better than Disc Launcher and Dark Torrent. Probably Chain Gun as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's very low. He's put them very low.
Halt besser.
They also said the whole 63% thing. Yeah, I mean that was just a math thing, right? So I'm just like, but I'm thinking about it, right? Like they said that like there was essentially a 4-to-1 buff to nerf ratio. Now they might have been wrong about that, right? Because their math might be garbage. Well, it's definitely garbage, but it might have been wrong in that case as well. So they might be wrong about that. And so I don't necessarily base my statement purely off of that. I also base it off of the fact that the last rebalance notes that they came out with, they also specifically said, this is basically it for the nerfs. We're going to be focusing on buffs now. That's basically essentially exactly what they said. So my statement's based off of both of those things together, which both kind of say the same thing, which is that there probably won't be many. There'll be like maybe one extra nerf throughout the next 2 cycles. Dark Torrent, yeah. Well, it's also known as Emo Torrent, but will they nerf Deathwalker? They might, but I don't know. If it's just going to be buffs, then no, but I don't know. If I used a Howler, then I could tell you. But I've only ever used Ember. Fair enough.
Ebenfalls eine Waffe, die so eher Richtung Schrott gehört. Extrem lange Nachladezeit, es bedarf einiges an Praxis, um die Waffe ordentlich spielen zu können. Der Damage ist halt schon hoch, aber es gibt halt einfach bessere Alternativen, wie zum Beispiel die M-Rifle, die ist 1000-mal besser. Jede Railgun ist besser als eine Longarm. Also die sind so von diesen Sniper-Waffen, wo halt wirklich auch so mit einem Schuss gemacht wird.
Better snipers.
So Railgun und so weiter. Da ist die halt einfach die schlechteste. Aber ich setze sie auf jeden Fall, etwas weiter vorne an. Und zwar würde ich fast sagen...
Sure.
Nee, sie ist eigentlich nicht so gut wie die Javelin. Weil, wie gesagt, die Longarm, die hast du halt im Early Game effektiv. Und ja, wenn du von der erwischt wirst, bist du auch meistens Matsch im Early Game. Aber ich sehe hier doch die
Javelins
der Möglichkeit, aus dem Hintergrund, aus der Base raus, eine Menge Damage anzurichten. Na, und du musst dich ja nicht mal zeigen, sodass dich die halt auch gar nicht...
Longarm just kind of doesn't have the magazine to guarantee kills. So I'm assuming that he's thinking about this in terms of, like, if they were both the same level, right? Because, I mean, like, everyone knows that, like, Longarm can just be, like, spam upgraded really cheaply. And in that case, like, a maxed Longarm is actually pretty darn good. But, like, he can't necessarily, like, are we comparing maxed Longarms to rank 5 legendaries? Like, that kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. So, generally speaking, I guess I have to, like, you have to draw a line somewhere. And I'm assuming that he's comparing them at essentially the same rank. And in that case, yeah, I'd say better than Gauss Rifle, worse than these two. But all of these should probably be in this tier and not in this tier. That's what I think. Below Fusion Cannon. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't agree necessarily with the Fusion Cannon statement either, right?
Mal zeigen, sodass ich die halt auch gar nicht erwischen kann. Deshalb dahinter auf jeden Fall.
There's a thing BMP said in his video. That Deathwalker isn't getting nerfed. He said oh yeah, I think I saw that. He said that it seemed like they didn't have plans to nerf Deathwalker, yeah. In that case, probably not, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to say definitely, because I don't know. Your driving theory test. There's a test for driving theory? I'm confused, bro. Was it a theoretical test, or was it... If Plarium isn't actually nerfing Deathwalker, then there's going to be a huge problem. Yeah, that problem's going to be called Deathwalker, because it's kind of just like, what are you going to do about it, bro? Outlaw's about to spike in usage. Yeah, the Outlaw Stonk's about to go wild.
Dann haben wir die Minigun.
Minigun, he has to put it in top meta. If he doesn't put it...
Von der Minigun.
Name drop.
Ich glaube, Ruffles war ein großer Fan von der...
I think Ruffles is a big fan of Minigun. Yes, indeed. You are correct. Best weapon in the game. Loads of questions that if you get wrong, you don't pass. Well, I guess you didn't get any of those questions wrong. Nice. Theoretical questions, maybe.
Bin ich mittlerweile eigentlich nicht mehr klar.
I'm actually not clear-headed anymore. You can put the miniguns in the minigun you can put in the meta. Yeah, it's not necessarily tied to mid-game. You can also play them in end-game. In Eclipse, sure. Blockhorn as well. Very good. Bastion and Anger Showdown. Oh man, Anger Showdown is such a better name for it, bro. It's so much more accurate. Anger Showdown. Who's more angry? Most fun weapon in the game. Yeah, dude. It's just like you can't beat classic bullet spray.
Aber
if you feel like losing.
Es ist keine wirkliche Top-Meta.
But it's not a real top-of-the-line weapon. It's not very far ahead here either. So I would say I'll put them here. But behind Cryo Launcher? Are we for real, dude? My man says that he does, like, self-admittedly, he doesn't even know how to use these well, and he's gonna put them above Minigun, the GOAT? Oh my, I want my money back, dude. Come on. You could at least put it above Howler. At least put it above Howler. Like, oh, come on. I think it deserves top meta, because if you're good with it, it's really, really nice. No, Pablo, don't agree with him. Don't agree with that. Come on. Don't do me like that, bro. Anger Showdown. Where you be so angry you throw your computer, yeah. Or your phone or whatever. Or you just talk really bad. You just say really mean things about your teammates. Crazy minigun slander. Bro, I know this guy. What in the world? I didn't realize it was like that, Hypho. Jeez.
Warum? Ganz einfach, vor einer Minigun kannst du dich halt mega gut verstecken. Ja, die hat zwar wahnsinnig viel Schuss und auch wahnsinnig
crazy amount of ammo, crazy amount of damage per magazine and so on. It has a reload time. Well, yeah, I mean, that's true. So the fact the weapon doesn't really have built-in action. You just stay behind the object and can shoot at the object. Doesn't put falls off. You need a lot of practice, but you have a cone of effect. You caught no longer move properly. Cannon fodder unless your name is Eclipse and you have your stealth mode on. No, I think you just gotta use minigun as more of like sort of a more ranged. It's more of a ranged weapon than I think you realize. I think that it's a lot more of a ranged weapon than you realize, and it can be used really well as just general suppression. Because I mean, let's just say the center beacon or something. If you have a line on any beacon, really, if you're playing CPC, especially if you have a line on any beacon, really, then you just like you can cover it. Nobody's able to like. Anyone who's starting to get shot with minigun, they know after they might be like, haha, you're not dealing a whole lot of damage to me. But after like a second, they're like, oh, well, I'm 100% dead to this if I don't move. Like, I cannot be here. So, like, especially on certain 3 beacon maps, minigun is just freaking brutal. Deathwalker and minigun OP. I think people don't like to do that together because in the event that someone has an outlaw, they can kind of mess up Deathwalker, and they'd prefer to have some type of faster reloading weapon, so that they can maybe kill the outlaw and then go back to what they were doing. But I mean, theoretically, yeah, not bad. I just like minigun. I'm a minigun glazer. I'm also a suppressor glazer.
Vorne, würde ich sagen. Ja, dann haben wir die Missile Rack. Missile Rack
Missile Rack's not
Waffe, die ich im
sure, yeah, no, I can actually get behind that placement.
Relativ weit hinten.
Not above minigun, though. Don't you dare put it above minigun.
Weil sie halt besser mit den Mods klarkommt.
I'll sue you.
Und ja, gut. Ja, prinzipiell würde ich aber sagen, dass die Minigun besser ist, weil du hast halt das Problem,
Minigun's better, yes. There you go. Finally. That's all I wanted to hear. Minigun's better. You heard it here first, guys. The main takeaway of this entire video is that minigun is better. That's if you were gonna learn nothing else,
den Splash um 30% zu erhöhen und trotzdem spürst du ihn kaum. Das weiß ich noch aus den Zeiten, wo ich sie selber gespielt habe. Und dementsprechend, der Splash Damage ist hier kaum spürbar. Und wenn du dann halt mal ausgeschossen hast, dann hast
if you're really careful with it, you can get the back damage. It's just very difficult. People are spoiled now because of Storm Rack, but people used to use Missile Rack the same way that they're using Storm Rack now, which is just like, you know, purely like firing at the ground using the radius and whatnot. But Storm Rack has very much spoiled people because it has much larger radius. But they used to use Missile Rack in that way. So it's like, if you're good with it, then it's fine.
Einfach kurz zu dir rübergelaufen und schießt dich halt über den Haufen, während du nachlädst. Also
what is this tier list that's happening? It's a Waffen tier list. He's ranking all of the waffles, and there are various kinds. Some are better than others. And that's about it.
Aber da eben die Missile Rack besser mit Mods klarkommt, dass jetzt zum Beispiel die M-Rivals, steht sie halt einfach hier noch davor. Dann haben wir den Nade Launcher.
Nade Launcher.
Hier direkt hinter den
basically right next to Cryo Launcher.
Ähnlich wie der Cryo Nade Launcher.
I see them as relatively interchangeable as well. But above minigun is a crime.
Der Stasis-Effekt, und dementsprechend sehe ich den Cryo Nade Launcher weiter vorne. Dann haben wir die Orakel.
It shouldn't be legal.
Würde ich persönlich
they should be below minigun, bro. What the heck?
Vorne. Ich würde sie hier vorne ansetzen.
Oracle, better than Hellfire, sure. Just about all of those things in the middle list should be better than Hellfire. He is, man, okay, there's two things that I'm learning about this guy. There's two things that I'm learning about this guy. One, he really likes waffles. Two, he is a hardcore Blast RPG glazer. Absolutely wild.
Nee, wobei
his waffles are burnt. Well, some of them are burnt. Definitiv. Others are very, very good, and you put those two in the top.
Du hast zum einen hast du die Ability, dass du halt den Gegner hinter den Wänden siehst. Du hast das Drohnenmagazin. Du hast einen soliden Schaden. Aber es gibt halt auch wieder Optionen. Ne, wie zum Beispiel den Overdriver und die Reaver.
Overdriver and stuff, dude, better. Also, yeah, so like Oracle's damage output is kind of garbage compared to Overdriver and Viper and Minigun and Berserker. But the perk that Oracle has is that when it's firing the drone, it can apply like a status effect thing that'll make you visible behind walls and stuff. But it's really obnoxious and kind of inconvenient, and I don't really like the status effect that it does. And if I'm being honest, there's like, you know, if you think about it though, there's kind of like only two things that can really make good use out of that, being Volti and Seeker. Everything else is just like, you know, you can see them, but you probably still can't shoot them. So like, what's the big deal? It doesn't really matter that much. I think it would be much better if the reveal status was a lot more like Mimicker, where you could see where they're, like, you could literally, like, see them. You could see their outline and everything. So you can see what weapon they're using. You can see what mech they're using. You can see which direction they're facing. You can see everything. And that's really handy. That is actually very handy. Because you can then give that information to your teammates, right? Like, just having people know where they are is not really enough. I swear if he puts railgun under minigun, I'm gonna crash. No, minigun's better than railgun. What do you mean? This is like top, like top. I'm not being so serious. Like top meta in terms of like max level with a bunch of mods and everything. Railgun doesn't stand a chance, bro. Like it's okay on Orion, but minigun's better on way more stuff. Railgun's not that good. It's really good in lower SP, which is this tier. This is essentially his good in low SP tier, in which he has hard glazed blast RPG. Reveal effect just turns everything into Guardian. Yeah, it's that weird freaking. It's that weird, like, bro, it looks so bad. It looks kind of like a Zephyr. It's just like this freaking flat image that's just like staring at you constantly. It's almost worse to have that. It's almost worse to have that. Because it's actually kind of difficult to tell where they are. Like, it's difficult to tell how close they are to you.
Ist schwierig, muss ich sagen. So ab einem gewissen Level wird es manchmal ein bisschen schwierig, wirklich die Nuancen rauszuarbeiten, was hier jetzt wirklich effektiver ist. Es ist auch stellenweise dann situationsabhängig, aber ich
Oracle is good. I just feel like there's not enough things that can take advantage of it. It's like Volti and Seeker, that's about it.
Als die Oracle.
And it also doesn't give enough information in my opinion.
Dann haben wir den Overdriver. Der Overdriver ist Meta.
Sure.
Warum ist er Meta? Eigentlich ist er jetzt nichts, was ich großartig im 5.5 spielen würde oder im CPC auf gar keinen Fall. Das ist für mich eine Waffe, die funktioniert im Endgame, aber nur in der 16er Ausführung und nur im FFA.
Only the 16 energy and only in free-for-all. Ja, does he consider Overdriver usable? Man, this guy really does not like any type of range, does he? Like, he's clearly not a bullet spray weapon enthusiast, which I guess is fair enough. But I would use that. It's pretty much the same as minigun. Like, I would consider Overdriver and minigun to be basically interchangeable. You can use them basically the same way. They have different pros and cons, but yeah, I would put them both. They're both very solid. I think they're both very solid. What would Oracle be like on Mimicker? Probably still not good. I don't know. It's an interesting idea, though, I guess. Even at low SP, minigun is better than railgun. Can kill the entire enemy team in one magazine. Yeah, for sure, bro. Damage boost from Blockor. Oh, yeah, so he's saying only the damage boost from Blockor is enough to make Overdriver worth it. I don't agree with that, bro. He has beef with Assault and Heavy Duty, I guess so. Wait, except for Hellfire, which for whatever reason he's glazed to the actual moon. What is this, bro? What? The one, like, he had one opportunity to just be like, no, this sustained fire weapon is just absolutely garbage. It was the one time that was perfectly acceptable. And, well, I mean, like, Carbine as well. you get what I'm saying. And he puts it freaking next to freaking above Graviton Beam and Hornet and Healy. Bruh. Disruptor is better than Overdriver? I don't think so. Well, he's also putting Cryo and Nade Launcher better than Overdriver. I don't think that's true either. Or Howler, right? Like, even if you literally put these at the exact same range, like the benefit of Howler supposedly is that it should be better at closer range. And then Overdriver should be a little bit more variable in its range. But even if you put them at the exact same range, if you put them both like point blank or whatever, Overdriver would probably still outperform Howler most of the time. So, like, no, I definitely don't think that's better than Howler. Or I don't think the Howler is better than it is what I'm saying, right? Both of these should be in top meta.
Wirklich besonders gut spielen soll, weil es noch bessere Optionen auch für Deathwalker gibt. Aber das ist halt eher so eine Backup-Waffe. Das ist keine Meta-Waffe, wo du sagst,
more of a backup weapon, not a meta weapon where you say I'm going forward and then no, I'm going to destroy everything.
Im FFA, ich habe jetzt meine 4 Max
verloren. In free-for-all, I now lost my 4 Max. I have now 30 seconds left. Wait, what? Yeah, give it another 30 seconds with a... Oh, he's basically saying that it takes too long to kill stuff with Overdriver, which is like, sure, in free-for-all, yeah, you probably don't want Overdriver. Like, free-for-all is probably like the worst scenario to have Overdriver, and I would use... See, I use these less as like pure damage and more of a suppressive damage. It's the type of thing where it has enough range to really like be able to hold down a beacon or something like that. You can hold down an area, you have enough sustained damage to where people know as soon as they start getting hit, it's like, oh, well, I can't stay here, I'm just gonna die. So, like, you use it as a decent ranged suppressive damage. But it's also high enough damage to where you can actually, you know, you can sort of brawl with things, as opposed to, like, I don't know, Graviton Beam or Hellfire, where it's just like, it's constant damage, but it's kind of sad. My Overdrivers cook all the players. Yeah, I mean, like, they're better at lower SP as well, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's giving him enough credit, and I definitely think he's giving these three way too much credit.
Deswegen setze ich sie auf jeden Fall. Ich setze sie relativ weit vorne an.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he was gonna move it. It still should be better than Howler, but I guess that's more respectful placement.
Ist ja, wie gesagt, auch so ein bisschen basierend auf meiner Erfahrung. Spiele ich selten. Ne?
Somewhat based on his experience. I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, everything is, right? I mean, my tier lists are based on my experience.
Und die Overdriver spiele ich im FFA regelmäßig. Ne? Ganz, ganz regelmäßig. Und
he plays Overdriver in free-for-all regularly.
Setzen sie noch vor die Holer. Weil bei der Holer, da kannst du
he's gonna put it above Hola.
Nachladezeit, aber das kann halt
but not as good as Amber Gun.
Musst du damit auch erstmal entsprechend an den Gegner rankommen. Gut, aber besser als die Amber Gun ist sie halt leider Gottes nicht. Ja, dann haben wir den, oh Gott, wie hieß denn das Ding nochmal? Ach, das war der Partikelbeam, richtig. Ja, der Partikelbeam war auch eine nette Idee. Man lädt halt auf und dann hat man so eine
nice idea, you load it up and then you have this grenade that gets fired. It's not really a grenade, but yeah.
Setze ich noch
it's not good at all. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
Also,
worse than Chain Gun?
Partikelbeam ist eine Waffe, auf die kann man
probably not, but it's probably closer than it should be.
Hier die Puls, war das jetzt die Puls oder die Plasma Cannon?
Plasma.
Ich glaube, das war die Plasma, oder? Oder? Ist doch die Plasma, oder? Wir tun einfach mal so, als wäre sie das, auch wenn es falsch ist. Und die ist
so bad he forgot its name.
Die kommt hier vor die
down there, better than Auto Cannon, fair enough.
Und hinter die Gauss Cannon. Da sehe ich sie ungefähr.
Aegis with Overdriver is top meta. It should be, but it's not. It is in my heart, right?
Also im Early Mid-Game ist sie auch für den Damage ganz gut. Da ist sie richtig OP, was das angeht. Da haust du alles.
Podgun should be top meta, my opinion.
Sie dann halt zu einer Support-Waffe,
die man
gut spielen kann. Ich würde sie deshalb, und sie wird auch oft gespielt, tatsächlich ist eine sehr, sehr starke Meta, oder im Endgame zumindest vertretene Waffe. Ich würde sie noch vor den Disruptor setzen, aufgrund ihrer Fähigkeit, gut fürs Team zu sein. Also eigentlich tut sich das nicht viel. Die beiden sind sehr, 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 sehr nah dran, oder nah beieinander.
He thinks Disruptor and Podgun are close? What?
Halt zum Beispiel in CPC
I don't agree with this at all. Man, okay, look, so he's probably more experienced in late game than I am. I mean, he definitely is. He plays a lot. He plays a lot on his maxed account. I don't really play on my maxed account that much, especially lately. But I will say I really, really get the impression that he has played little to no large team-based battles. Like, Podgun is like one of the best supportive weapons, especially when you have like a team of 5 people in like 5v5 or CPC. So, like, it really seems like he's coming at this from the angle of, like, primarily free-for-all and just, like, full brawler setups. How are Carbines bad? 'Cause they're way worse than literally everything. Carbine is easily the worst legendary assault weapon. If you can name me one that's worse, and if you can, like, if you have any other assault weapon, like any other legendary assault weapon, then you would know that. He's definitely going to put rocket mortars in meta tier? No, I don't think so. I think he's primarily, like, again, I think, and this kind of explains why he's going so hard on Embergon and Howler as well, is I think he's primarily going for, like, super brawler setups. So stuff that, or in Gemini's case, is just really good against bots. It's a really good bot farming weapon. I think he's going for, like, super brawler setups, primarily for, like, free-for-all, I think. I think that's mostly his preference. Like, that's the lens that he's looking at it from. Obviously, I have my own lens that I look at things from, which is slightly different, may or may not be more accurate, but I don't, like, you know, who's to say? Autocannon is worse than carbine. I mean, yes, that's why I corrected myself and I said legendary assault weapon. Watch him put Savant over minigun. You know, I bet that he will, because it's actually sort of decent brawly thing.
Wenn du halt mal doch einen Supporter dabei hast,
he better put Suppressor in top meta above Bro Beam.
Also das funktioniert schon. Die ist auch gut, um Lacewings vom Dach zu holen. Das ist, glaube ich, der beste Lacewing-Konter überhaupt. Wenn der
good on Lacewing, good counter to Lacewing, good on Solus.
So gut wie mit der. Eben wegen ihrer
good on like any type of like passive thing. It's a very common pick for Deathwalker if you don't have Stormrack. Podgun is probably like the second most used weapon. He just immediately dumps it. Yeah, fair enough, bro.
Momentan, ich habe tatsächlich mal ein Video gemacht, wo ich diese ganzen, wo ich die Waffen, glaube ich, verglichen habe miteinander. Ich glaube, nee, das war McMastery, glaube ich, in der entsprechenden Gear-Hub Edition. Genau, wobei ich eigentlich sagen muss, ich kann mich erinnern, dass es vom Damage her, ich glaube, wir setzen sie mal lieber dahinter. Ja,
Plasma Cannon is better than Pulse Cannon.
Die hier den besseren Damage hatte, aber das
ist so eine Sache, I mean, that might be true, I don't know.
Das sind jetzt Nuancen, die sind natürlich beide nicht
I kind of want to upgrade my Pulse Cannon at some point, it'd be funny. It would cost too much, though. I'm not going to.
Welche jetzt den größeren Damage hatte. Ich weiß nur, die hat hier auf jeden Fall mehr Schuss.
Clearly, Plasma Cannon's more OP anyway.
Ich glaube, die hier ist generell, also im Prinzip vom ganzen Handling her.
You maxed both pulses better?
Ja,
wow, that's what I would expect.
Dann haben
I would have expected Pulse Cannon to be better. I mean, obviously, regular is higher grade.
Die hat auch eine
Quantum.
Wirkung und gehört definitiv ins Mittelfeld.
It should go above Arc Torrent. I think it has basically the same DPS, but way higher range.
Relativ solide von ihrer Fähigkeit her, kann schön den Gegner slowen, während man ihn halt weiter beschießt. Ich sehe sie allerdings noch
above Arc Torrent, below
ich würde sagen,
Particle.
Die Quantum Gun, die kommt relativ weit hinten hin.
Above Fuse Murder?
Ich würde sie hier hinsetzen.
Above Particle Beam?
Ich würde sie hier hinsetzen. Die Quantum
I mean, that's
Gun
close to where I would have put it.
Gute Waffe. Sie hat eine
it's just between that and Particle Beam, right?
Das ist jetzt wirklich keine Waffe, die
That's basically what I said.
Brauchen würde, sage ich mal. Also da gibt es tausende.
I can get behind that.
Ja, dann haben wir die Quasha. Die Quasha ist relativ gut tatsächlich.
He looks bored out of his mind now. I'm just
da sie halt leider Gottes nicht, ja, wie soll ich sagen, sie kann halt diese Mechs nicht attackieren mit den zielsuchenden Kugeln, die eigentlich den Main Damage machen, sondern nur mit den normalen Gewehrschüssen. Sie braucht dann auch sehr lange stellenweise, um zu killen. Sie ist aber metafähig.
Oh my goodness. Squasher Meta.
Auf jeden Fall.
Bro, where's Mr. Perfect? Mr. Perfect, some guy, he's been watching the channel for a long time. He shows up to stream sometimes. He comments on my videos. He is a hard squasher glazer. And you know, I was kind of wrong about Squasher. It's better than I gave it credit for. But this man is going to be so excited to see Squasher being put so high up.
Würde ich sagen, hier
where would I put it?
Die Quasha, die ist schon gut. Die ist schon gut. Also, aber halt
definitely under Overdriver. We're just gonna ignore the minigun placement, okay? We're just like in our hearts, minigun is top meta, right? We all know this. We're just gonna ignore the minigun placement. But I do think it's worse than Overdriver. I don't think it's better than Podgun, definitely not. Do I think it's better than Holer, though? In some ways it is, in some ways it's not. Probably not. I would say probably not. Squasher above minigun? No, minigun's better. Minigun's better. Would any of you recommend Burrow Beam A? Burrow Beam is, like, arguably the best weapon in the game right now, so yeah, probably. Above Podgun is crazy? Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, there's no way that it's better than Podgun.
Schießt halt am Anfang, ich glaube, 8 Schuss.
I don't think
ganz
so.
normale Gewehrkugeln raus und anschließend, je nachdem wie viele von den 8 Schuss getroffen haben, kriegt ihr so zielsuchende Projektile, die halt immensen Damage verursachen. Wenn ihr Clips kommt, seid ihr
The homing projectiles are good. It's really good. Like if you charge up.
Railgun.
See, here's the thing: is like if you charge up all of the shots, all of the rockets, and then you're stuck with the 8 rockets, then the weapon just becomes really good. But that requires you to first spend the first like 4 seconds charging up those rockets. And that's assuming you even hit all of your shots to get all 8 rockets. So it's like, yeah, theoretically, it's really good, but I think it's also just kind of impractical. So, yeah, I generally wouldn't put it as high as pod gun, no. Max stasis beam 16 sounds OP. But also probably not. Railgun no longer has any meters. No meters. Not even any centimeters. What makes the difference here is that EM rifle is at least a relatively short reload time. That means you can shoot nicely taking turns, but the railgun only has 3 shots in its magazine, and you have an extremely long reload time. So until the magazine's completely full, it takes almost a minute. I believe this is one of the longest reload times in all of Mech Arena. This weapon. I don't think that's true. You fire like 3 times and then you have to wait like... What is it? I don't think it's that long. Is it that long? I don't know. Maybe it is. But, no, I mean, like, you can shoot like 3 times in succession, whereas this one can only shoot once. And I mean, you kind of have to just assume that you're using both of these on Orion, because it's like, why would you be using it otherwise? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you bother? Max Stasis Beam 16 is mid, as I have maxed it. That's fair. I also have it maxed on my main account. But, I mean, technically, you could max it out at low SP, and it would be a lot better. How to get more legendary blueprints? I mean, just open as many crates and stuff as you can and just hope you get lucky. That's about it. Like, that's what I'm doing. If Quasher didn't turn into guided but had homing, it would be better. I don't get what the difference is. What do you mean? Like if the normal projectiles had homing? Because to me it sounds like it's the same thing. Anyway.
Die auch, ja, ich sehe sie nicht ganz hinten, aber ich sehe sie verhältnismäßig weit hinten im Midgame.
Railgun's pretty bad. I mean, like, when there's a lot of mods involved, sure, but like, so is...
Halbwegs vernünftig.
So is a lot of other stuff.
Es ist halt sehr stark davon abhängig.
Okay, I guess that's kind of fair. That's kind of fair. If you're not using it on Orion, then that's kind of fair. The EM rifle being up there, I don't know why it's there, but I'll just ignore that, right? We're already ignoring it.
Fürs Midgame sehe ich sie...
Better than Berserker?
Hier würde ich sagen. Im Endgame wäre jetzt die Berserker vorne, weil im Endgame würde sie besser funktionieren als die Railgun. Außer ihr habt sie jetzt natürlich auf Orion, aber Orion zählt nicht, bei dem ist immer alles eine Ausnahme. Aber so im Allgemeinen muss ich sagen...
Okay, so he's assuming that you're not using it on Orion.
Ja, dann haben wir die Reaver.
If you're not using it on Orion, then Berserker is definitely better, right? You'll check Railgun shortly. It's not a minute. See, I didn't think so either, but he said it's almost a minute. Does it list like 50 seconds or something like that? It's significantly shorter if you have a reload implant, I think.
Die Reaver ist so eine Sache.
Reaver.
Die kommt hier vorne
Pretty good.
Die ist einfach wie die Overdriver. Wir haben ja das Vergleichsvideo gemacht.
Better than Overdriver?
Und es ist ein Unentschieden
I actually kind of don't think so.
Es ist literally ein Unentschieden.
I had really high hopes for Reaver.
Die Reaver stellenweise effektiver.
I thought they were going to be really good, but they ended up being kind of lackluster, to be honest.
Auch de facto schneller down als mit dem Overdriver.
De facto schneller down.
Deswegen, ich setze sie...
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Es ist eigentlich ein Unentschieden gewesen, aber es kommt halt so auf meinen persönlichen Geschmack an, sag ich mal. Und da würde ich sie dann doch noch ein Stückchen vor...
A little bit in front of Overdriver.
Vor den Overdriver setzen. Allerdings nicht im FFA.
Not in free-for-all. You still put free-for-all better in free-for-all. Now, I wonder why that is. You'd think it would be the opposite, right? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Reaver's okay, but like, it's kind of not all that. Seems like he's giving advice so he can have more win. Yeah. The main takeaway from this video is that minigun is better. Okay, look. He doesn't follow the same logic when placing weapons. Yeah. No, I mean, like, I'm sure that I've made some like kinds of inconsistencies like that, because sometimes, and I'll defend him here. I'll try to defend him here because I have the same kind of situations that I run into, right? Like as someone who also makes tier lists. So like I'll sort of defend him here, and say like, when you're placing something, it's kind of just like a gut feeling where it's like I kind of feel like this is better than this other thing, but I don't really have any specific like way to convey that. So I'm just going to make this, arbitrary comparison under these specific terms. And then, like those terms, comparing it under those terms is maybe not the best idea because then you use those terms on a separate set of weapons and you get completely different results than what you placed. So it's like, yeah, I sort of get it, but at the same time, yeah, it definitely like when he's talking about especially when he was talking about like in several cases, where was it? Which one was it? Was it like freaking it was I believe Hellfire versus Graviton Beam before he placed Oracle. Hellfire versus Graviton Beam. He had Graviton above Hellfire. And then he was basically theorizing a 1v1 scenario between the two weapons, and he was like, well, if it was a 1v1, then the Hellfire would win. But it's like, well, that's not really how it works though, right? That's not really how it works, because under those cases, Fragment Gun would probably beat out Hornet. Like everything would beat out Fuse Mortar. Like Fuse Mortar would just be like the most garbage weapon under that logic. So yeah, I don't know. That logic specifically I disagreed with, but the rest has been kind of fun. No need to I mean, like I'm basically like throwing out a counter argument, right? I'm not necessarily I don't know what he's thinking, right? Like I don't know what his thoughts are necessarily. I don't know what his reasons for everything is. But yeah, I mean, like if I see a potential counter argument, I think it's worth mentioning that counter argument. Do I speak Germany? Yeah. Look, bro. General, I put the River before the Overdriver. I just spoke Germany. So this entire thing, just to summarize, he's comparing waffles, and this is a Waffen tier list. He's been waffing waffles, and some of these have been really good. Some of them have been not very good. Most of them are kind of in the bottom, to be honest. There's only been 2 that he thought tasted really nice. And also Minigun is better.
Dann haben wir die Repeater, die setze ich eher ins Mittelfeld. Und ich würde die Repeater tatsächlich hier irgendwo haben.
Chat, do you think Repeater's better than Hellfire? And I'm saying this like completely as a question. I'm not just like trying to be like, hey, I think this is true. Do you guys think it's... No, it's like actually a question. I have no idea. They're both kind of completely garbage. Do you really need A-coins to spin for Deathwalker? I mean, you don't need them. I'm kind of broke. I didn't bother spinning for it. Well, I spun it one time, but that was it. Hellfire on Deathwalker. Haven't tried either, don't plan to. It's kind of valid, though. He's waffling waffles. Waffling waffles. But he's a bit waffled, so his waffles are not waffling. Well... Yeah, sure, yeah. Spin for Charge Rocket? Me? Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, probably. Now you're craving... Well, look, it's not my fault. Alright.
Sie hat natürlich, du hast am Anfang hast du 20 Schuss mit einem sehr, sehr breiten Streuradius. Dir kann kein Mensch entkommen, aber danach musst du erstmal nachladen. Du kannst auch zwischendrin immer wieder schießen, aber das sind immer bloß ein paar Schuss. Kann man eigentlich doch relativ leicht ausspielen. Ich setze sie hinter die Orakel. Ja, dann haben wir die Revoker. Keine Frage. Beste Waffe im Spiel nach wie vor, trotz ihrem Nerf. Immer noch absolut geil.
Revoker.
Immer noch gut auf Eclipse, immer noch gut auf Search.
At the top, okay.
Reden, weiß jeder Mensch.
So he thinks Revoker's better than Burrow Beam. I kind of don't agree with that. I definitely think it's better in some cases. I think Burrow Beam's generally more useful, though. I don't know. Charge Rocket and Deathwalker for you. You got them both first try? Will you want to share with the rest of the class? Jesus. What is it? Are you hoarding all the good luck for yourself? Give everybody else some of that. How is Repeater good? It's not good. It's just a matter of whether or not it's less garbage than Hellfire, which I think most people think that it is. Hellfire is really garbage, so it's like kind of an extremely low bar to be better than Hellfire, like almost everything is. You got some too? Okay. Okay, well, he shared with you at least. It's not usable on non-dash mechs. I mean, that's like kind of like competitive, like any type of like, if you're trying to make any type of meta hanger, you would never use it on a non-dash mech anyway, like, realistically. Like you'd maybe use it on Deathwalker, or you'd maybe use it on, what's it called? Parasite. But that's kind of it. But generally, like, you need those Revokers for other stuff anyway. But also, okay, well, I kind of agree with you to the extent that, like, Eclipse can't really use them very well anyway. Or now. Which I kind of agree with. But also disagree with you to the extent that Seeker can still use them, so. You spun for Deathwalker 12 times and you didn't get it, and now you have no Aquines. Well, that's why you shouldn't just full send it for no reason. You know, I didn't even attempt either one. There was the free token for Deathwalker. I did that. And then I spun it one time. Because there was just a spend Aquines task, so I was just like, yeah, why not? So I spun it one time. And then the Revoker one, I don't need it. Because I already have the 10 and 6, so I don't really care. I spun it one time yesterday for the spend credits task. And that's it. That's all I've done. I can spin them more, but just because I can doesn't mean I'm going to. Because that's how you end up broke all the time. Like, look, you shouldn't just full send it every time you can afford a couple spins. You should not do that. You have to be careful, bro. Like, come on. You got to think ahead. You were forced to spin every single one for Blockhorn? Yeah. See, that's true. I went to his house and I held... I held a thing that shall not be mentioned up to his head. I said, hey, you spin that Blockhorn event or I'll mess you up. Isn't Deathwalker meta? Yeah, but it's not worth going broke over. Do you think I want to be in the same situation as you? Like, bro, look, okay, just because it's meta doesn't mean all common sense goes out the window. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not going to get it, then you're not going to get it. Like, don't... So it's a matter of you probably don't get it and you spend and you don't bother spinning, or you probably don't get it and you waste all your Aquines. Like, which one do you think is better? I'm going to not bother spinning because that way I have more Aquines for other stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I feel bad for you. I do. I feel bad for you. But at the same time, I think, like, there's no way I'm giving you free Aquines. Nobody's sending you free Aquines. Because if we do that, then that basically just tells you, hey, you can put yourself in a really stupid predicament of your own making, and somebody else is going to dig you out of it because you made a bad decision. Like, no, I'm not going to dig you out of your bad decisions. So, like, it sucks. It does suck. I'm sorry. I am sorry for you, but you probably should have known better. You got every other mech from the event crate? Okay. So, you know what the odds are. You knew you had like a 60% chance of getting it. That's not that good chance, bro. What do you... I got it one time in the first spin. That must mean every single time I get it in the first. Like, come on. You're not that dumb. Like, I know that you're not actually that dumb. You're just saying that because you're trying to justify why you did it. We could both like, you know, we can both come to the agreement that it was not really a good decision, right? So, I you know, what are you going to do about it now? Nothing, right? There's no point in worrying about it now. You know, just use this as a, you know, as a lesson and just don't do that again. That's what I would say. Yeah, I've definitely wasted A-coins on some events as well. So it's like, it happens, but just, you know, just don't do it, right? Just don't do it again.
Die wir haben, das ist der Mortar, der normale, den setzen wir.
You're one of the only Stalker mains bring him to 7k lobbies as guided. 7k is not that bad for Stalker. If you brought it to 12k, then I'd be impressed.
Die Projektile nicht am Boden stecken, allerdings fliegen sie alle auf einmal raus, deswegen erwischt man meistens auch den Gegner besser als mit ihr, aber trotzdem ist einfach
Rocket Mortar versus Fuse Mortar. They're kind of similar.
Dann haben wir noch die RPGs, die
Rocket Mortar, I think, is better damage, better immediate killing power. Because Fuse Mortar, the things, I think they spread out further. And the radius of each one isn't necessarily going to hit you. Like, if you stand still, you only get hit by, like, maybe one rocket from Fuse Mortar. Whereas if you stand still for Rocket Mortar, you get hit with, like, 5 or 6. I'm pretty sure. You're tempted to bring it into 15. Bro, do it, bro. I'm not going to stop you. What, are you going to lose your family over it? Like, give it a gander. The gambler inside you just tells you to do it. Yeah, I mean, that exactly, bro. See, we both understand each other. We both understand each other. I know, and I want to spin these other things, but it's just a matter of restraint. You just don't do it. You know why? Because if you don't do it, then that means you'll have enough to actually guarantee one later down the road, and then you can gamble that one. So it's just like, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Just a game. Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not spending real money on this, like, who cares if you don't get some meta thing? Like, oh no, I don't have the best mech in the... Okay, like, and? Was it, like, is that your one and only goal in life? $3,800 A-coins and 1.3 million credits worth Hemlock. I assume you mean to get it to rank 6. Yeah, probably. Buy it and get it to rank 6. Or you mean, like, getting, like, doing that because you're spending that in order to unlock tier 8 so that you can then buy Hemlock? Either way, it's probably worth it. Hemlock is really, really good, especially in Hanger Showdown. Sorry, Anger Showdown. Sorry, we know the proper term. Anger Showdown. I am spending real money on this. I'm doing it wrong, yeah. Yeah, that's true. I've found, yeah, I mean, I've found, honestly, I have more fun when I'm on my free-to-play account. Not even just the fact that it's lower SP, but just, honestly, the fact that it's free-to-play. It's like, I don't care. The entire account could go to crap, but there's no money invested in that, bro. I lose nothing, except for a lot of my time, but all that time went into making videos, and I made money off of those videos. I'm making profit off this account, bro. I don't care. So I kind of feel better on that account. You spent 6,000 A-coins to not get Deathwalker. I mean, it's the same thing, bro. Like, you know there's a chance that you don't get it. So, like, why would you full send it? Like, full sending it, it's a risk. You knew the risk and you didn't get it. Anyway, RPG, yeah, better than autocannon, worse than pulse cannon, sure.
Als die Minigun, würde ich sagen, als die Autocannon.
Minigun! He thinks Minigun... Bro, he hates Minigun that badly. He thinks it's comparable to freaking Autocannon.
Übel ist, also für so eine schwache Waffe in Anführungszeichen. Dann haben wir dieser Wand. Dieser Wand ist Meta. Dieser Wand ist gut Meta. Dieser Wand
Savant ist gut Meta.
Sie, also auf Platz
Bro,
1
better than Amber Gun.
Relativ gleich auf. Einfach aus dem Grund, dass sie durch ihren...
Who was it that said he put Savant really high up? You were right. But they also might have watched this video earlier and they're just giving spoilers. Platinum's free-to-play account looks like it's pay to win. Well, yeah, it's because he's been, like, super hyper meta progressing. I mean, he was able to do it, but he grinds tournament a lot, and I don't know. I have more fun just messing around with other stuff, bro. Like, anyone can make a meta hanger, right? Like, anyone can work toward meta stuff. Everyone knows what the meta stuff is. But I think, I don't know, I find it more interesting to mess with the other stuff that's, like, not really meta to see how good it is. You blew all your credits on Hemlock right before the Revoker 8 crate rush. It was probably worth it. If you already have Revoker 10 and 6, then you don't need the 8. I'm not spending for the 8 either, because I already have the 10 and 6. Doesn't matter. More strategy and grind is required for free-to-play. I don't even necessarily think about it that way. It's just like... in terms of gameplay, yeah, it's like it's slightly harder. You have to make do with the things that you have, and the things that you have aren't necessarily the best. If you're going to spend, like, you kind of may as well just spend on the best stuff, and if you're spending on all the best stuff, then it's like, cool, I have the best hanger. What do I do now? Does he have a beef with you? He might, bro. I don't know. You have more fun playing pretty much with any of the friends who invite. I mean, that's fair too. That's fair too. Meta is cool, but stupid stuff is cooler. I think it's more entertaining. I'm not going to say that it's cooler or that anyone else should find it better or that anyone else should invest in it. I personally find it more entertaining. That's all. Is it worth doing Mech Arena videos if you're a small channel? I mean, what's the alternative, right? So there's a couple things I'll say. It's like, first off, it's kind of easy to get into the YouTube space for Mech Arena as long as you put, half decent effort into your videos. Like, if it's just gameplay with music, don't even waste your time, bro. It's not gonna happen, okay? If it's just gameplay with music, don't even waste your time. But if you actually put, if it's more than that, you're putting a little bit more effort into it, then yeah, it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to grow because there's honestly not a whole lot of channels that are related to the game. There's not a whole lot of videos. There's a lot of topics that haven't really been covered. I'm considered a large content creator, even though, for most other games, I would be considered extremely small. So, yeah, you can get started pretty easily. But if it's not the sort of thing that you really would want to do long term, if you're just in it for the content creator award, weekly rewards, then don't worry. I wouldn't waste my time. It takes a lot of work, and you have to actually want to do it, right? Like, I like creating videos. If I wasn't making videos for Mech Arena, I'd be making videos for something else. That's how I know that I would, that's how I know that I'm, good being here. Because I actually want to do it. I'm not just doing it for the free stuff. Is it required to use a mic? No. It's not required that you use your mic, but if it's just gameplay and music, I'll be honest, I probably wouldn't bother. There's 8 billion videos that are all gameplay with music, bro. Mayor, Omniverse, and I think Sololock, they all have that down. They have that entire thing locked down. You're going to be hard-pressed finding somebody's random gameplay with music video outside of those 3 channels. You're going to be hard-pressed to find a video like that doing well. And if that's the case, then probably it's not going to be good, right? Like, you could do stuff with the gameplay, right? Like, you don't necessarily need to use your mic. You don't necessarily need anything like that. You could do like fancy editing or whatever. You could do like the, you know, memes and whatever stuff like some channels do. You could do, well, it also kind of depends on like the concept of the video, right? Where it's like maybe it's a challenge or something. I don't know. But essentially what I'm saying is like, if your plan was just I'll upload my random gameplay that I usually play, it's just a random match of me doing whatever stuff, and it's just gonna be gameplay with music, I'll just upload that. You got to start somewhere, I suppose, but that's not where you're going to end up. Like, you're not going to get anywhere with that, I don't think. I don't think you're going to get anywhere with that. I'm just going to be honest. Sorry to all mobile players, but playing on PC is better. Oh, yeah. For sure. I would never go back to mobile simply because there's a nice... This is something kind of, like, nice and relaxing about mobile, but I would never go back to it in terms of content creation. So, because everything related to YouTube is so much easier on PC. Like recording, editing, everything is so much easier on PC. What's the weapon after Burrow Beam in the top meta? It's Gemini. He has Gemini up here, bro. And he has Minigun, my boy. It's underneath Nade Launcher. It's freaking Disruptor.
Buff durch den erhöhten Damage, den sie hat, und durch das nacheinander rausschießen der Projektile, wo sie jetzt auch wesentlich besser mit den...
Oh yeah, he's talking about Revoker now, I think.
Mit den ganzen Layern von den Multilayer-Schilden klarkommt.
Yeah, Revoker's good. I think it's better than that.
Ich habe die Gameplays
or no, he's talking about Sabat.
Die hier gemacht worden sind, auch von meiner
I
Seite
speak
aus.
Waffen, don't worry about it.
20, 25 Kills auch gegen Echtgegner oder Spiele, wo zumindest welche drin waren. Echtgegner meine ich.
20 or 25 kills even against real players with Sabat.
Also das ist definitiv eine Waffe, die im Meterbyte noch ganz vorne ist. Reicht leider noch nicht für Top-Meter, aber ist schon in der Richtung unter.
He doesn't think it's top meta.
Ja, dann haben wir die
Imagine starting a YouTube channel in 2026. Couldn't be me, bro. Couldn't be me. Even going to try spending money is required for new weapons and stuff. I would not do that. I think people fall into the so there's also another misconception where just like which is like you're gonna get more views if you invest in the new stuff. And so if you buy the new stuff, you'll get more views and stuff like that. And that's honestly that's what I did. That's what a couple other people that I know have done. It really doesn't help at all. It really doesn't help at all. There's a very good reason why the bulk of my content and some of the best performing videos on my channel are all on my free-to-play account. I've spent zero money on this. I've put no investment in this. I don't even play the game that often. Like I don't even overly grind tournaments or anything crazy like that. You don't need to spend money. And I would honestly, I'd save yourself the trouble of even going down that road. Or at least don't do it for a while, right? If you think you can get away with it, I would not do it, right? I would not do it. Charge Rocket better? Charge Rocket worth it? Worth what? Because you could spend 10,000 A-coins on that one Crate Rush event and still not get it. So I don't know. I think it's a good weapon, but I don't think it's worth spending A-coins on that. What YouTube channels do I watch based on Mech Arena? I don't really watch much Mech Arena content because I make Mech Arena content, so I don't really need to watch much. I occasionally watch some BMP videos. I occasionally watch some Platinum videos, mostly. Whichever ones that I think are... I'll occasionally watch the ones that I think that maybe like they look interesting and I would maybe want to make a video about it. So if somebody makes a video about something, and this is just generally my goal with most things, is like I try to make sure that my video is better than everyone else's, right? And so if I see someone else, someone already made a video about this specific topic, I'll watch it, I'll see what they did, I'll see what they didn't do, and then I'll just try to make that video, not necessarily based on what they did, but I'll make a video of this essentially the same topic, and then just go a step further with it, right? Like add a bit more information, add a bit more context, add just something to add a little bit more value than what the last guy did. How do these top meta players afford this game, bro? It's so expensive just to duplicate the weapons and to max all implants and stuff. And they have it as soon as it comes out. Yes, I mean, some people have like, wild amounts of money to spend, bro. Not me. If the graphics of the game were like the trailer, it would have been so OP. Honestly, though, I agree with you. Isn't Gemini bad against multi-layered mods? Yeah, generally speaking, yeah. I think he placed it too high, but it is pretty good, right?
Und zwar sehe ich sie, ja.
They have jobs.
Sagen, relativ weit hinten, weil sie halt schwach ist.
I would never.
Richtig stark, aber ich würde sie. Boah, ist eigentlich gar nicht so einfach zu sagen. Also ich sehe sie auf jeden Fall vor den beiden. Ich sehe sie auch vor dem Beam.
Better than Dark Torrent, Emo Torrent. Would I put it above? Would I put it above Particle Beam? Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Kannst du auch ein bisschen ins Midgame zocken, sehe ich allerdings relativ.
It's pretty good.
Auf dem letzten Platz ist halt eine Supportwaffe.
Shouldn't stay. Why is Stasis Beam there? It should be in the bottom. He put Long Arm and Javelin rack down there. I feel like they didn't really deserve that. Long Arm's better than Stasis Beam, bro. Come on. What's EM Rifle doing back there? Yeah, I don't know why he has EM Rifle up there. I also don't know why he has Minigun freaking below these. There's several things here that I definitely disagree with. But it's interesting, yeah. It's a lot of waffle, a lot of opinions about a lot of waffles.
Die den Gegner zwar
and also, by the way, I should also like contextualize this with the additional note that he did specifically say when he placed Railgun. He did specifically say that he's not counting performance based on Orion. So he thinks the EM rifle, even not on Orion, is just up here. That is. I think that's an important note to make. I don't think that's true. I don't agree with that.
Basis versetzt, dass seinen Teammates es dann einfach macht, ihn zu zerstören. Und ja, natürlich macht
Quash your recency bias? You know, I kind of agree with that. It's better than I gave it credit for initially, but it's honestly not that good. Definitely worse than Podgun. And Minigun.
Ja, dann haben wir die Stormrack. Eine Frage, Platz 2 nach wie vor.
Is this Hypho? Yeah.
Eine Mega-Rakete, macht Mörder-Damage, haut die Mods
Below weg. Revoker, above Burrow Beam still.
Ja, braucht man gar nicht großartig. Ihr kennt die Meinung zu der Waffe definitiv.
Yeah, I thought Burrow Beam was kind of low-key better than Revoker. Strike Rocket, he should put Strike Rocket above Gemini.
Fast schon vor die Podgun stellen, einfach weil die Strike Rocket meiner Meinung nach einen größeren psychologischen Effekt auf den Gegner hat. Diese Raketen, die immer wieder kommen, bam, 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 bam.
Bam, 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 bam. Yeah, but like bam, 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 bam is better than Gemini, you know what I'm saying?
Weil, sondern ich kann dann einfach sagen, ich habe beide Waffen gespielt und ich
You bite it off and you spiel it. Yeah, no, I'm following. Everything he's soaking it up.
Teilweise an Stellen zu erreichen, wo es halt die Podgun nicht so wirklich kann. Das kommt halt auch noch dazu. Ja, dann haben wir die...
Yeah, but like... Putting it next to Podgun is valid, but Podgun should have been in top meta as well. Gemini is so slow? Yeah, well, it also does really, really bad against multi-layered mods. And it's just generally less projectiles. And it, like... And like... Strike Rocket can go up and over stuff, and then Podgun doesn't go up and over stuff. So, like, depending on what kind of map you're on, would kind of determine which of those weapons is better. But they're kind of like I see, like, and I'm going also, by the way, partially based on just like my experience with clan wars and stuff, which admittedly has not happened a lot as of late, but it still happens sometimes. And I see Podgun fairly often. I see Minigun. Usually I'm the one who's using it, though, so in all fairness. But Strike Rocket and Podgun are fairly popular, much more popular than Gemini. S-tier suppressor predictions? Okay. Yeah, let's see. I'm a suppressor glazer. I can get behind that.
Ja, der hat's auch einen Buff bekommen.
It better at least be in these top two.
Sehe ich auch hier im mittleren Bereich.
No, dude.
Reduziert natürlich den Damage, hat auch einen guten Buff gekriegt.
EM Rifle?
Ja, Ja, no. Also fürs Midgame,
below health.
Ich sortiere das.
About to DM this man and tell him how disappointed I am. Do we actually?
Jetzt hier fürs Midgame tatsächlich, da sehe ich die schon.
Let's see. Hear them out.
Ich sehe sie definitiv weit vorne.
Definitely see them way ahead.
Sehe ich sie vor der? Ja doch, ich sehe sie vor der.
See in front of Hellfire. Okay.
Ich habe beide Waffen auch gespielt im Zuge der Gameplays, die wir hatten nach dem Rebalancing und doch.
Almost at a crisis. We're here though. He is a massive blast RPG glazer, bro. This is wow. This guy, he put blast RPG up here toward the top, and he's just been saying nothing but praises about it ever since. Wild. You probably made it just to anger me. You might have, dude.
Man, aufgrund der Tatsache, dass sie jetzt zum einen wirklich gut mehr Damage gekriegt hat, ich glaube 40%. Und dann kommt ja natürlich noch ihre Ability.
Yeah, I got a massive damage buff, and that really helped it out.
Damage Reduction Effekt.
6 month stacks of damage reduction. Yeah, 6 months.
Ja, dann haben wir die Tetra Rifle. Tetra Rifle ist auf Mittelfeld. Keine sehr starke
Waffe. Tetra Rifle way better than Railgun.
Der letzte Schuss macht halt schon.
Unless you're counting Orion, but I don't think so. I would put Tetra Rifle up here actually.
Rifle tatsächlich.
It's really, really good.
Auch hier
better than Squasher and Howler.
Ja, ich würde sie
and probably Reaver Embergun, to be honest.
Hast du halt die Möglichkeit, auf eine größere Distanz zu agieren, aber halt auch auf die Nähe. Das ist schon mal ein Vorteil gegenüber der Hellfire und du hast halt wirklich diesen letzten Schuss, der einen Wahnsinns-Damage raushaut. Und also im Midgame ist Sense, wenn du das Ding abbekommst und ich meine, du hast es ja teilweise auch im Endgame.
Yeah, if you get hit by it, it's GG.
Hat doch mal jemand die Waffe
But even like at higher SP. It's like maybe 3 magazines of that, and that's kind of not that long. Like, it doesn't take that long to do that. You better use EM rifle. How many? Look, how many magazines do you think? How many shots do you think it takes for Tetra rifle to kill something at max level, versus how many shots do you think it takes EM rifle to kill something at max level? Why is this here? I don't get it. This has like a stupid amount of damage plus shield piercing. You can kill most things in like 3 magazines. Even with a lot of mods involved. And 3 magazines ain't bad, because the reload time is really short. Are you right or left? Well, you're probably left. I don't know, man. They should buff Lacewing. No. I disagree with you. Pablo has been sharing the Pablo powder with Hypho at massive discounts. And there's a good reason that it was a massive discount, because he gave him the expired batch. Tetra, Mimicker, and Blockhorn OP? Kinda, though. Tetra can kill anything in 2 magazines. At lower SP, that's definitely true. At higher SP, not so much, because you're working a lot with just the shield pierce, and the shield pierce is not that much. It's like 10%, 15%. Disc Launcher Orion is so broken. Okay, well, we're not talking about Orion. And he said that specifically, right? Like, it's not even just me asserting that. It's that he specifically said, we're not counting Orion. Otherwise, Railgun would be a lot higher. That's why he put Railgun down here. But I don't... Why is he a rifle here? I don't get it. And below freaking... It's above that. At least he put suppressor high.
Ja, das ist schon, ja, ne, also kann man schon machen.
EM Rifle is better
ich persönlich finde halt
than Tetra Rifle? I don't agree with that.
Die Suppressor und die Blast RPG noch besser. Ja, ich denke, wir lassen sie da. Ja, dann haben wir hier den Thermalance. Ganz hinten hin, schlechteste Waffe im Spiel, brauchen wir nicht reden.
Tetra better on Orion or not that much?
Immer noch im Mittelfeld.
I think if you're using Orion, then Railgun's the best, and then EM Rifle's probably also still better than Tetra Rifle. But that's only on Orion. On everything else, Tetra Rifle's way better.
Ich setze die Viper, setze ich hier auf
Finally something over Blast RPG. I kind of agree with this because I feel like late game there's a lot more stealth involved. There's a lot more people using stealth stuff. Like you're going to see a lot more eclipses and that sort of thing. And when someone's in stealth, the rockets from Viper literally are garbage. Like they will not hit, almost guaranteed. And that's 50% of your damage output. It's actually more than that because the implant, the damage implant only affects your rockets. So it's probably closer to like 60% of your damage output that's only in your rockets. So if you miss a rocket, that's massive waste of damage output. And that's, yeah, no bueno.
Suchen, denn die machen Mörder-Damage. Und die sind auch, also die Viper, wenn im Endgame deine Mods.
What's the language? It's Waffen language. Waffen language.
Die Viper auch sofort weg. Also das ist schon eine Waffe, mit der nicht zu spaßen ist. Die ist ziemlich strong. Die hat eine Menge Damage, die insbesondere durch die Rakete verteilt wird. Und die wird im Early- und Mid-Game kann die richtig dominieren. Definitiv. Ja, und dann haben wir hier noch die Volta.
Even the auto-translate doesn't know what's going on. It just puts a period. It's like, he said something, but I don't know what it was.
Hinten bis Mitte. Ich würde die Voltaic RPG.
Volta RPG.
Ja, hier so in die Richtung.
Ja. Pablo.
Ich sehe sie noch hinter der Quad.
Yo, Pablo, man, what's going on, bro? My man had to get a new job. No, what's going on, man? I appreciate you, Pablo. Never feel like you have to, okay? Never feel like you have to. I appreciate you, though.
Also
Voltaic RPG, ja, Volta RPG.
Aber ich finde einfach, dass die Quantum Gun, die hat einfach durch die Cryo-Ability, die sie hat.
What was he thinking with minigun? Man, I'm still upset about this. I'll hold this against him for the rest of my life. He's putting it below Disruptor, even. Pablo can get behind the cryo launcher, which is like, okay, fair enough. But I don't know, man. I feel like half of the stuff in here deserves to be... I mean, I guess he's got a top meta list, right? Which is like, this is like the absolute upper echelon. So fair enough. You know, if you want to separate that stuff, that's fine, I guess. But I feel like these two are honestly better than Gemini. If you're talking competitively. And I think like half of these are better than, you know, Embergon at very least. Maybe not Savant, some of them. Savant's pretty good now. But, I mean, like, Howler's not that good, bruh. Disruptor's not that good, bruh. Those two. EM rifle. He's got EM rifle up here. Above my boy Suppressor and Tetra rifle. This doesn't make any sense. Extra work today. More incoming. Hey, let's go, Pablo. Good to hear. We should get better, more fun pilots. I agree with you, bro.
Kleiner Disclaimer.
Why are Hellfires even on the list? Bro, he put them above Hornet and Helix Wreck and Graviton Beam. And Berserk. He's got some wild takes. We'll just put it that. He's got some wild takes. His palette is unique. The waffles he's been tasting in this Waffen waffle tier list, wild.
Am Ende die neue Waffe, die Charge Rocket oder Charge Gun, wie hieß die mal? Charge Rocket hieß die, genau. Die ist jetzt hier noch nicht dabei, die ist da zum Zeitpunkt
Charge Rocket is something, it hasn't been
allerdings haben wir
it's already out by the time the video releases, essentially what you're trying to say. You only have the 8s. Too early to really put them on the list. I agree with that. It's kind of too early. I could make some educated guesses, but that's about it. Shemexte, what the hell is that?
Man muss auch sagen, hier und da ist vielleicht, insbesondere so im hinteren Bereich auch, sind so Sachen, wo ich sage, okay, vielleicht hätte ich doch...
There are things where I say, okay, maybe I should have moved one or two things around a bit more, but these are really just a few nuances. Yeah, I mean, like, I agree with that. And that's another thing to kind of keep in mind is, like, even when I make a tier list, bro, like I'm not married to this thing, right? Like, you gotta understand, it's like I'm just kind of throwing things together based on what I'm feeling at the time. Where it's like, I think this is probably true based on my general opinions, but then it's like, you know, maybe I play a couple more games with this other thing, and then I'm like, oh, actually, it's kind of not as bad as I thought, or I'm just kind of having some good battles, or maybe I play some battles and I'm having a really bad time with a certain weapon, And I'm thinking like, wow, why did I put that so high up? So it's like, yeah, everything should be approached with a little bit of, nuance. It's not like I would say like, oh, in this case, suppressor's better than Tetra rifle all the time on everything. Like it's not that simple, right? Like even something that's, further down the list is probably going to be better on certain mechs than others, right? Though in his case, probably Blast RPG would be better than everything else because he's a hard Blast RPG glazer. And yeah, so it's like, yeah, there's nuance to it, but at the same time, I demand retribution. This is an absolute abomination. This deserves top meta, or at very least, the top of the not top meta. Continuum below Dreadshot. Continuum is A tier. I don't know. Like the more I see it being used, or the more I use it, the worse I think it is. Like I definitely thought at first that it was really good, but I don't know. I definitely have. It's definitely kind of. It's worse than I thought it was. So there's a couple things. There's like specifically a couple things that I think were worse, like that I would change. That I know that I've probably placed wrong in my last one. So like Continuum, I think I placed too high. I'd probably bring it down a bit. Maybe not even down a full tier, but I'd definitely bring it back a bit, right? Reaver, I'm sure I placed too high because I think at the time I thought it was going to be really good. It did not end up. In theory, it seems great. I don't even know why it's not that good, but it just kind of isn't. Quasher, I put too low. If I even placed it, I don't remember. I think so. Quasher, I think, is actually better than I gave it credit for, that's for sure. And what else? There's another one that I think is better than I gave it credit for. I don't remember. Oh, Berserker. Berserker's also better than I gave it credit for. Not in, like, max level. Berserker's still absolute garbage max level, but it's better than I gave it credit for, right? Did he make a mech tier list? He did. And we could watch that, but it's been like 3.5 hours already. I don't know if you guys want to. I don't know if we want to go over that. That's might be a long time. How long? Can someone tell me how long I've been doing this one for? Because anyone analyze or know how much shield or mod piercing does Burrow Beam has? Everything. So here's how it works, essentially. Here's how it works. It just passes through shields, and that's it. So it's not piercing. It's not piercing in the sense of, like, let's say Ryan, right? Where it's like a percentage of the damage that you deal to the shield, instead of getting dealt to the shield, it goes into the mech. No, everything goes through the shield. So it just completely goes through. It damages the shield and the mech at the same time. And this is why when you're getting shot by Burrow Beam, you'll lose your mods and your HP at the same time. Because if it had 100% pierce, then it would deal no damage to the mods. Actually, I think that might have even been better. I think that might even been a better idea for the weapon. I'm not sure. I don't know who agrees with that, but I think it would have been interesting. Like a weapon that specifically ignores mods, and it's really good because obviously it ignores mods and it can kill people that way. But then if, like, let's say you die, or if the enemy happens to get away and then they deal with somebody else, the mods are still fully intact, and so you really didn't damage the mods at all. You just damaged the mech HP. I think it would be I think it would be an interesting concept. It's like sort of similar to Hornet, I guess. Maybe we'll get such a thing later. Yeah, maybe. Waffen is going on for 2 hours, 40 minutes, but we want to watch Waffen mechs. Well, do you guys want to watch Waffen mechs? Because there's 65 of you here right now. There's like 150 of you guys when I was doing gameplay, so maybe I call the stream here. I'm kind of thinking that was good though. If I don't agree with the minigun placement, the link to this video is in the pinned message, obviously.